head coach thing. He didn't throw anyone under the bus. He said, I'm the head coach. It all comes back to me. I need to do a better job, and our coaching staff needs to do a better job coaching these players. This season is slipping away from this team right now, and they need to do something to bounce back. The question is, what kind of a performance the Javelinas have in it tonight, Nate? I think we're all looking forward to seeing that.
I think we are, and I think specifically one thing that we saw in the Texas Wesleyan game, another thing that we saw last week against Eastern New Mexico was Nick Pelrin getting the start and also running the football really, really well. But it seemed like the offensive game plan went away from that in the second, third, and fourth quarters, and we didn't see a lot of number two. And I think tonight, for someone who certainly wants to get onto the football field and redeem himself for some performances that are not up to par for him, he's going to have to spearhead this running game. The running game that we saw run all over Texas Wesleyan 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, this team, through 4 games, you look at that game against Wesleyan. We were both here for that game. And this offense fired on all cylinders. The running game was fantastic. This team ran for over 200 yards in that game. You had 5 touchdowns that were scored on the ground in that contest. But you look at the other 3 games, and the Javelinas did not run the ball well against Commerce, didn't run it well against Angelo State, and didn't run it well last week against Eastern New Mexico. They're averaging 128 yards per game, but the reason that mark is up to 128, which still only has the 5th in the conference, is because of that one game. And this team has to figure out a way to run the ball. Obviously, the situation with their offensive line isn't perfect, but you remember last week at halftime, the Javelinas had, I think, 19 carries, 19 rushes on the ground, and you and I agreed that we thought 40 should be the target for this team in the second half against an Eastern New Mexico team that hadn't done a great job stopping the run to that point. They didn't make it anywhere near 40 in the game against Eastern. Now, to be fair, there were a number of factors. Obviously, they fell behind. They were behind late. You're going to throw the ball in that situation. You can't afford to run it. But this is another opportunity against a defense that does not have a great reputation to try and get that running game going. And you also, to go back to what you said about Coy Detmer Jr., this season, Highlands is averaging giving up over 300 yards through the air. Now, they have some ball hawks in that secondary. They have 6 interceptions this season. But Coy Detmer Jr. should have opportunities to find open receivers. And also, these receivers need to find a way to get open. There were not a lot of passes thrown downfield. And the blame can go in multiple places for that. But part of it has to go in this receiving core. They have to find ways to get open and get separation deep and open up opportunities for big plays for Coy Detmer Jr. in this offense.
And I think that's a really good point you brought up, because I know you had discussed the lack of a pass rush that the Javelinas have had this season, and to this point, New Mexico Highlands has only 4 sacks in their first 4 games. So perhaps we have an opportunity now to see the Coy Detmer Jr. from the Texas Wesleyan game, from Texas A&M Commerce, where he was able to extend plays and freelance a little bit and find receivers down the field.
Yeah, he did a good job of that last week. He lost in the shuffle of it. Was a tough loss for this team. Detmer was under pressure a lot in that game. Now, he didn't have the kind of game I don't think he was hoping for. 19-35 for 158, an interception, 2 touchdowns, including one that basically set up an Eastern New Mexico touchdown that was returned inside the 10-yard line. But he was under duress constantly. Eastern blitzed every big play. And there were a lot of situations where Detmer was having to escape a rush, roll out, and just trying to protect the football. And one of the biggest plays of that game was after the Javelinas recovered a fumble inside the Greyhounds' 5-yard line. 2 plays later, Detmer gets sacked, ball pops out, Eastern falls on it, and a chance to score a touchdown goes out the window for this team. So, yeah, Detmer has shown some good escapability, but his offensive line is going to have to band together and give him more time to throw than what we've seen each of the last 2 weeks. Both teams have taken the field right now as New Mexico Highlands is arriving. The Javelinas in their blue uniforms as Glenn Schultz, the PA announcer to our right, doing the introduction. The Javelinas 1-3 entering this game. They are 0-3 in Lone Star Conference play. Their next conference game will be 2 weeks from now. They will host MSU Texas. And we'll obviously be here for that game and the one in between next week against Western Oregon. We're going to take a quick break here on the Javelina Sports Network. We'll be back with the opening kickoff here from Javelina Stadium. Mark and Sarah, Nate Cortiso with you. We'll be right back. National anthem just finishing up moments ago here at Javelina Stadium. The Javelinas and the New Mexico Highlands Cowboys about to square off. This will be the 5th game of the season for both teams. Mark and Sarah alongside Nate Cotiso and the captains for both squads getting ready to head out to midfield. And Nate, one of the things you and I were talking about before this game, you mentioned, and I feel like this is an experience every person who's new to this atmosphere goes through. You drive in here before the game, and it doesn't matter if it's the first game or the last game or what the team's record is. You see all those tailgates set up behind the stadium. You see come in here, there are plenty of fans in the stands every time. It really is remarkable the way how dedicated this fan base is to this team and this program.
Yeah, I think so. I think that loyalty comes with the division championships, the national championships, the lore of this program, and how many players they've put into the NFL throughout the decades. It's a good reason for the fans to come back when they know the kind of production that they've seen out of the Javelinas in the past and hopefully their future.
Yeah, you mentioned that. That reminded me. This is the 3rd game between these teams in the history of these two programs. The Javelinas have won the previous 2. The first time these two teams played was in the 1969 NAIA semifinals, and the Javelinas won that game 28-23. The winning touchdown was scored by one of those players this team put in the NFL, a fellow by the name of Eldridge Small, who caught a 33-yard touchdown pass to give the Javelinas a lead they held on to. Small was a guy later taken in the first round of the NFL's draft by the New York Giants. The number of great athletes who have come through this program have easy for me to say, led these fans to expect some special things here at Javelina Stadium every Saturday night. A coin toss is through, and the Javelinas will be kicking off to New Mexico Highlands to begin this game. Devin Henderson has been the main kick return man for the Cowboys so far this season. He's averaged better than 30 yards a return, his longest being a 73-yarder. TJ Jackson has also taken back 4 kicks for 81 yards. And Diego Elabario and Devin Henderson are the 2 return men back standing at their own 5-yard line. New Mexico Highlands in white uniforms with purple numbers and plain white pants. And we're with Cowboys on the left side. They have helmets that are white. They're totally white on one side. On the right side of the helmet, they have the image of a cowboy on top of a horse, just as you would expect for a program with that nickname. The Javelinas, as I mentioned, they're blue uniforms, gold numbers with white piping. Javelinas across the chest in gold with also white piping, and white pants, white helmets with Javelinas on them in blue. De La Garza blasts it off. A short kick taken by Henderson at the 15, right side to the 20 on the Pepsi logo at the 25, and gets shoved forward to the 28-yard line. And that is where Danny Cameron, this offense, will start off. Cameron this season has thrown for 903 yards, completing 56.6% of his passes, 9 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. As I mentioned, all but one of those touchdowns came in the first 2 weeks of the season. Since then, Mines has been beaten by Dixie State 28-23 and by Colorado School of Mines 43-14, just 1 touchdown pass for Cameron. In those 2 games, a 6'1", 208-pound senior from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And the Highlands Cowboys going from right to left start on the right hash on the far side, I formation. Play action to Alston. Wanted to go deep down the middle. Has it open to man. Does Cameron. The pass is caught across midfield by Devin Henderson.
They did give up the big pass, Kingsville did, but they did get a hit on the quarterback, Cameron, and that at least is encouraging to see early on in this game.
It's a 29-yard gain. And I make that a right on the dot 30-yard gain for Cameron, who comes out in a single back. Deion Alston is the single setback. He gets the handoff, heads straight up the middle, fights through a tackle to the 39. A gain of 3, 2nd and 7. The starters for the Cowboys, obviously Cameron at quarterback, Alston at running back. The receivers are DJ McFadden and Devin Henderson. Daryl McIntyre figures to see much of the action at tight end. The offensive line, Doris Lee is the center, Tarini Osi and Brett Basler are the guards. Isaiah Lowry, Ron Beasley are the tackles. Diego Elabario and Jaron Manning are the receivers in this shotgun formation. Throw a pass right side for Manning. Breaks a tackle in the backfield, gets to the 37 where he's tripped up, and that'll bring up a third down for Highlands.
Open field tackle, number 3, Caleb Valentine. And 2 brings up 3rd and 5.
And Henderson coming back in, as does Kamari Mosby for this third down and 5 play. 13-17 to go in the first quarter, just underway. Highlands with the opening possession of this game. 3 receivers. Zach Drew Tolles is the single receiver to the far side right. 2 receivers left, shotgun for Cameron. Tamuk with 3 down linemen. Cameron rolling left. Pressure coming, escapes the sack. Goes over the middle. Caught up shy of the 25. That'll be a first down at the 26-yard line. Complete to DJ McFadden. And the Cowboys move the chains.
And on the tackle for the Hawkins, number 34, and Michael Tutt.
And the Highlands once again getting pressure but unable to finish as they had Cameron in the backfield. That was Brandon Jones, who just had Cameron slip away from him, and he found the open man for the first down. Ball spotted at the 26, 1st and 10. Offset eye. Hand up Austin on a counter running left, trying to turn the corner, a stiff arm, and he gets run out of bounds near the line of scrimmage. A flag comes in. They might get Austin for a face mask, because Austin had himself a big handful of mask as he was battling with Devontae Williams near the sideline.
Holding. Offense, number 7. 10-yard penalty. Ready, first down.
And they get Zach Drew Tolles for holding. So it'll be first down and 20. Starters on defense for the Javelinas. Caleb Valentine and Brandon Jones are the ends on the line, with Vaughn Taylor and Cody Gardner playing the role of the defensive tackles. Michael Tutt and Jalen Harrison starting at linebacker, although Alec Lewis is in right now, and 5 defensive backs for Tamuki. Give you those in just one moment. Cameron drops the ball and a handoff. The ball is loose. I think Austin got on top of it at the 41. That'll still be about a 5-yard loss. Now Caleb Valentine emerges with the football, is saying it should be the Hogs' ball, but possession remains with Highlands. The 5 defensive backs on the field for the Javelinas. Brajon Crenshaw and Jordan Seminot are the corners, with Devontae Williams, Nick Stiff, and Peyton Hendricks at the safety spots. And now Sean Landez is in as well. And we get more whistles, a timeout for Highlands with 11:45 to go. This is 2nd down and 25 coming up for the Cowboys, with less than 4 minutes gone here in the first quarter. And certainly not a perfect start to this game for the Javelinas, but their defense with a chance now to get a stop and get their offense to football for the first time.
Holding call on New Mexico Highlands. The bobble transition from Cameron to Alston, and now it's a 2nd and super long. The encouraging thing that I pointed out after that first long pass by Cameron was the fact that they have gotten pressure on him. They've been able to get to him. Brandon Jones has been in the backfield, and I think there was another instance for Kingsville where there were 3 guys going right at Cameron. He was still able to get the pass away, but again, these are things that we haven't seen in quite a while from this Javelina defense, and if they keep at it, this is something that they can turn into actual sacks and more quarterback hurries.
Now the pressure is definitely something that needs to continue for Haskell Buff and this unit. Highlands trying to find a way to convert. They need to take a chunk out of it right here if they're going to have an opportunity. 2nd and 25, 3 receivers for Cameron. Pass to Manning in the flat right side, cuts the field crossing the 40, slips through a tackle but is dropped down around the 35. Gain of about 6. It will still be 3rd down and forever. Javelinas have allowed their opponents to convert Just 28% of third down opportunities. That's the second best in the LSC. And Highlands not afraid to use plenty of time on the play clock. Ball spotted on the far hash for the team in white. Three receivers coming rolling left. Trying to load up for a deep ball. Rolls away from the pressure. Slips through a tackle. And is finally dropped up past the 35. Jalen Harrison ended that wild ride. A gain of a couple. But Cameron nearly got by everybody. Might have had a chance to pick up big yardage, but Harrison was there to clean it up.
A wild ride for the Cowboys. But Brandon Jones was almost upset with himself that he didn't get his hands on Cameron, number 95, even though he was able to slip out of that tight space for the Cowboys.
And Israel Farfan coming on to try a 54-yard field goal. If he makes this, I wonder why he's not kicking for New Mexico State. Good snap. Kick is on the way. It has the distance. It is good. Israel Farfan from 54. His longest part of that this season was 42. But he blasts that one through. And Highlands is on the board with the first 3 points. It's 3-0 Cowboys with 10:04 to play in the first quarter.
That's the best case scenario you could hope for this Kingsville defense. You know, there aren't a whole lot of college kickers that are going to boot a 50-yarder to start a game.
Yeah, in a situation like that, you stop a team at the 35-yard line or thereabouts, you expect to be able to put a 0 up on the scoreboard. When you have a guy that kicks the ball 54 yards, there's not much you can do. But what an enormous weapon that is for Marty Fine and this coaching staff to know that you don't even have to get the ball inside the 35 to have a shot at points. That just makes your offense's job so much easier.
You know, one thing that I was really curious about with this New Mexico Highlands offense is Marty Fine is in his second year as a head coach. But in the last 3 years, they've had 3 different offensive coordinators. And sometimes when you have that much turnover at the OC position, it's hard to adjust to new coaches. But this offense looked fluid early on.
8 plays, 41 yards for the game's first points. And to Nate's point, that's Matt Clark running the show on offense for Highlands this season. Farfan with a line drive kick down the middle of the field. A high hop taken at the 10-yard line by Aaron Jackson across the 15, 25, left to the 30, 35 to the 40, to the sideline, 45, 50, into Highlands territory. He's shoved out of bounds across midfield. Aaron Jackson, his first kick return of the year, not a bad start. And Temuc's offense will begin with good field position.
About 65 yards on the return for the Hoggies.
A spot at the Highlands 39-yard line. And Temuc opening up in the Wildcat. Nick Pellerin ready to take the snap from center. Takes it running left. Linebacker shoots the gap, and Pellerin turns upfield as he gets near the sideline. And is run out of bounds after a short gain. Second time this season we've seen Temuc begin the game with a play out of the Wildcat. And now here comes Coy Detmer Jr., the junior quarterback from Somerset, Texas. His stats: 694 yards, 7 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, a completion percentage of 58.3. Opening with 3 receivers here. Nick Pellerin, the back, and the pistol. Now rope aside of the tight end goes in motion. Detmer looking right. Pass on an out route to Devin Milburn, caught around the 30. Gain of 6. Third down and short coming up. Pellerin, as I mentioned, the starter at running back. The receivers to start this game: Alan Smith, Tyler Wilson, and Devin Milburn. Torrey Thomas will see a lot of time at tight end, although Roposada gets to start on the line. Joseph Partita is the center. Jorge Rios and Armando Castillo are the guards, with Kyle Quino and Justin Johnson the tackles. Milburn goes in motion. Handoff. Pellerin trying to get through the middle. Is hit in the backfield and taken down for a loss. And Temuc, no doubt, will be tempted to go for this 4th down. It's 4th down and 2. from the 31-yard line. This is within Julio De La Garza's range, but De La Garza is 2 of 4 this season. Coach Darren Wilkinson might not be too trusting of his field goal kicker at the moment. Pistol formation, Highlands showing blitz. Snap to Detmer. Blitz coming, throws it left, caught by Posada. He's got a first down at the 26-yard line. That's exactly what I'm sure Wilkinson had in mind when he called that play. We're going to beat the blitz with a short pass. Detmer didn't have to hold it for long. And the Hogs moved the chains.
Great adjustment by Posada. And, you know, that's something that we haven't seen a lot of on 4th down. It's encouraging to see Coach Wilkinson to make that play call and for the players to execute it as well.
Well, that short-range passing game is exactly what the Javelinas think of as their bread and butter. Handoff, Pellerin trying the left side of the line. Manages to slither through to about the 26-yard line, or to make that the 20-yard line. A 4-yard run. It will be 2nd down and 6. You'll see Nick Pellerin and also Jeff Carr. And then we have yet to find out if it will be either Luis Lopez or Josh Oglesby who will be the 3rd head in this 3-headed rushing attack. Carr is in right now in a single back. 3 receivers. Play fake to Carr. Rolling out is Detmer, hitting Posada, who crosses the 10-yard line. He's got a first down. And it'll be 1st and goal for the Javelinas. The starters for Highlands on defense, Trey Haynes, Xavier Patterson, and Nick Locken make up the defensive line. Craig McCray, Eli Schottmer, and Davon Muldrow are the linebackers in this 3-3-5, with TJ Jackson, Caleb Glennon, Willie Morris, Cameron Forziati, and CJ Wade, the defensive back. Single back, 3 tight end. Evan Milburn going in motion. Gets the jet sweep, handoff left side, cuts upfield, moving left inside the 10, near the 5, and is wrangled down at the 6. A 3-yard gain. I think they might have gotten Milburn's dreads while they were making that tackle, the Highlands defenders. 2nd down and goal.
Gain of 3 brings up 2nd and goal.
Temuque looking for their 4th first quarter touchdown. They trail 3-0 right now. 6:23 to go in the opening period. 3 receivers with Torrey Thomas a slot right. This might be a slot pass to Thomas, who saw it work for a touchdown in a game last year. Detmer looking right, throwing high back of the end zone for Smith over everybody. Detmer might just have been throwing that away because Smith was in double coverage. And if nothing else, he might have just put that in a spot where no one but Alan Smith, who's much taller than the 2 players guarding him, would have a chance to make the catch. 3rd down and goal.
I think the other important thing for Detmer, as it appears that the offense is flowing, is who's going to step up as that number 1 receiver. Aaron Dilworth is the team leader in receptions with 14, but without Ty Chisholm and some other pieces, Detmer's got to look.
Shotgun snap to Detmer, looking right, throwing at the goal line for Williams. It's knocked away. Malik Brown jumped in and batted that pass down. 3rd and goal goes for naught, and here is Julio De La Garza to try and tie the score with 6:03 to go. Ball is spotted on the left hash, and now a player just sitting down. That's Armando Castillo, who just went down. Castillo not confident he could make it off the field in time. Didn't want to cost his team a timeout or 5 yards. Castillo, the starting left guard, played in 10 games last year, started 8 times, and opened this year as a starter on offense as well. And he has been one of the mainstays on this offensive line. Javelinas, as we mentioned before, have had some shuffling. They've had to deal with some injuries. They've had guys moved around. Partita started the year at guard. Now he's playing center because Omar Wilkins is out. Justin Johnson had to take over the role of starting tackle for this team as well. And he started the season 2nd on the depth chart at that spot. De La Garza for a 23-yarder. And the snap, always just as big an issue for the kick, at least this season for the Javelinas. Casey Rossellini is the holder. Good snap. Ball gets down. Kick by De La Garza is good. So with exactly 6 minutes to go in the first quarter, the score is the Javelinas 3 and the New Mexico Highlands Cowboys 3. Each team with a field goal. A long one for the Cowboys, a short one for the Javelinas. And not an ideal situation when you start a drive inside your opponent's 40, but the Javelinas move the ball into the red zone. They get 3 points out of it. They even the score. And now the onus goes back on the defense to try and get a stop and give the offense a chance to take the lead.
Really encouraging to give up a 54-yard field goal on the first defensive possession for Texas A&M-Kingsville. They've shown thus far that they can get pressure on quarterback Danny Cameron and the New Mexico Highlands offensive line. A couple of encouraging drives on both sides for the Kingsville offense and the defense.
The Hogs went 33 yards in 10 plays, took 3 minutes and 54 seconds to do it, and they were rewarded with Julio de la Garza's third field goal of the game, or third field goal of the season, and this one is all tied up at 3. And that passing game in that drive, Detmer 3 of 5 for 24 yards. Not spectacular, but that is exactly how Wilkinson and the staff want that passing game to function. They want the short passes to be there. They don't want to make Detmer sit back there too often and try and find open receivers or try and throw the ball deep a lot. They want those short routes to be open, and they want to eventually try and find something deep. The objective with this team, a lot of what they do is try and get the safeties to creep up with short passes, with runs, and then try and hit something over the top. But I thought you made a good point earlier. You mentioned this offense looking for a player to step up and seize that number one receiver role. We've talked about this a lot. Tonight's another night where some of these players are going to have an opportunity to do that, whether it's Aaron Dilworth or Tyler Wilson, Devin Milburn, Alan Smith. Someone needs to step up and be that go-to guy for Detmer in big situations. They haven't found it yet. De la Garza to kick off. And Devon Henderson takes it at the goal line, moves left across the 15 to the 25. Had a little bit of a seam, but has dropped at about the same spot where he was tackled on the first kick returner on the 28-yard line. 1st and 10 for the Highlands offense from there. Danny Cameron was a perfect 4 of 4 on that opening drive for 50 yards, moved his team to a field goal, and Highlands really stopped themselves on that opening possession. They had a holding penalty, then a dropped handoff on a running play, and those two plays combined cost them 15 yards, and they dug a hole they couldn't get out of. And Farfan saved the drive with a field goal, but Highlands will be looking for more on this possession. Ball spotted on the near hash, offside I formation. Snap to Cameron, play fake. Looking deep down the middle, trying to find Henderson. Diving attempt, could not catch it around midfield. He had a couple steps on Aaron Jackson, but quarterback and receiver couldn't hook up 2nd and 10. And there is Cameron's first incompletion. Cameron threw for 246 yards and 4 touchdowns in a 45-31 Week 1 win over Fort Lewis. The next week he ran up 275 yards and 4 more scores as Highlands beat Adams State 65-37. Back to throw here on 2nd down, rolling right towards the sideline, caught at the 39, turning back inside is McFadden, tackled right at the 39. That will be a 1st down and an 11-yard gain. And Cameron looks comfortable early on, Nate.
Maybe comfortable on this first couple of plays of this second drive. The play action, I don't think the Javelina defense was ready for.
Three receivers for Highlands. Cameron, handoff to Austin, misdirection, running right across the 40, slips a tackle across the 45, midfield, drops the football. The ball is on the ground. The Javelinas say they have it. It is Hogs football. So the first turnover of the game goes to the Javelinas. And they'll begin this drive in good field position once again. I think it was Aaron Jackson who caused the fumble. And then he was the one who dove on it too. So Aaron Jackson making that play all by himself. And the Highlands will start a drive in opponent territory for the 2nd consecutive chance.
You had the long kick return earlier in this quarter. He's making all the plays tonight.
And the Hogs with an opportunity to really seize the momentum here. They open 3 wide, 2 men in the backfield with Detmer. Troy Detmer Jr. back to throw. Looking deep in the middle, trying to hit Martinez, incomplete. So Tamuk going deep on the first play after the turnover. Detmer and Martinez nearly hooked up for what would have been a huge play. But good coverage, and the throw just a little bit too far for Martinez to snatch. 2nd and 10, pistol formation. Jeff Carr is in a tailback. Man in motion. Detmer gives to Carr, trying to find his way up the middle. Gets hit pretty quickly. He got nothing on that play. 3rd down and long. And Devin Milburn comes in for Roposado, so this will in all likelihood be a 4-receiver set. Armstrong, Milburn, Aaron Dilworth, and Donovan Moore are the 4 receivers. And it's an empty backfield. Jeff Carr is the wide man on the near side with Dilworth and Milburn inside on the right side. Slot left is Armstrong, wide left Moore. Highlands showing blitz. Here they come. Detmer to throw. Looking down the middle. Has Milburn wide open. Call the 20. Running away. 10, 5. Touchdown, Javelinas. Highlands brought the blitz and got burned. Milburn got past his man, and a perfect throw from Detmer, lofting it right over the outstretched hand of a defender. Milburn cradled it in his arms and was off to the end zone. And the Hogs grabbed the lead.
You gotta love the aggressive play calling by Darren Wilkinson. The first pass.
And a bad snap on the PAT. So the Javelinas will not convert the extra point. And their lead stays at 6. It is 9-3. And it looks like Milburn just took that route right down the middle. Beat the inside linebacker Schottmer from Highlands. And was gone for a touchdown. Actually, I think that was Cameron Forziati, the safety, who was on the coverage. So Tamuk jumps in front 9-3. The snap just went through Rossellini's hands. It appeared on the replay. I don't know if there was too much wrong with it, but regardless, De La Garza never got to kick it. And Tamuk's lead is at 6 rather than 7. But so far on offense, 2 chances in opponent territory, 2 scores. It's 9-3. And a good start to the game for this offense. Probably about as good a start as you could have hoped for if you're Darren Wilkinson.
Without a doubt. I think with Darren Wilkinson's first play call inside New Mexico Highlands territory, he called that a long pass from Detmer to Martinez, wasn't able to corral it, and then they went back to Carr to run the football for a couple more yards, and then they opened up the passing game on 3rd down with the 4 wide receivers and Devin Milburn making that catch. But that's the kind of play calling, aggressive play calling that I think this team needs right now.
That was Milburn's first touchdown catch of the season. It went for 48 yards. For Detmer, that's touchdown throw number 8. And Milburn last year caught the ball just 12 times, did not have a score, so that's the first opportunity for him to get in the end zone in a while. That always has to feel good. And now De La Garza to kick it off. Elabario and Henderson will go back to receive this kick. Henderson has returned the 2 previous kicks for an average of 21.5 yards. 4:16 to go in the first quarter. 9-3 Javelinas. Alongside Nate Curtiso, I'm Mark and Sarah. Thank you for tuning in on another busy Saturday night in the college football world. And De La Garza kicks it to the side of Henderson. Along the numbers, catches to the 10 and runs to his left across the 10 to the 15. Trying to turn around the corner, and Alan Smith won't let him. Throws him out of bounds at about the 23, and a flag gets thrown, and Diego Elabario might have gotten called for an illegal block in the back. The 2 men on the scene were Elabario and Kamari Mosby. We'll get the call from the officials. And it looks like it might be a hold.
Another return. Holding. Return team, number 98. 10-yard penalty for the spot foul. First down.
And nope, I named 2 players. I was wrong with both of them. It was Damon Golden who gets called for the hold. And that'll make Highlands offense start really behind the 8 ball, as they are facing a deficit for the first time tonight. Obviously still early in this game in the first quarter, but the Hogs ahead 9-3. First drive was set up by a big kick return by Aaron Jackson. The second one by a fumble, forced fumble and fumble recovery by Aaron Jackson. First and 10 at the 12. Hand off to Mosby, carrying Peyton Hendricks for a couple extra yards as he gets to the 18, a 6-yard run, second down and 4. Mosby, one of 3 running backs who came into this game with over 100 yards on the season for Highlands. Desmond Scott is the one we haven't seen so far. But Austin, who's back in, he is the big gun in the backfield, averaging over 100 yards a game. Hand off Austin, trying to cut back through the middle, and he is rounded up and dropped at the 17. That'll be a yard loss, so it'll be third down. And about 5 yards for the Cowboys as we wind down towards the last few minutes of the first quarter. And Jamar Davis comes in to play defensive tackle, as he normally does during these passing downs. 3 down linemen, Valentine, Davis, and Jones. I would expect a blitz to be coming as well. Here it comes. Cameron, hand out to Austin, gets wrapped up in the watch, but then slips through. He crosses the 20. He's got a first down, I believe. And the head linesman says yes. Austin had to pick his way through a maze of bodies in the backfield before he found a hole and was able to scamper for a first down. He didn't get it by much, but the chains do indeed move.
This is a big drive for New Mexico Highlands. They had the almost fumble, the first possession that ended in a field goal. Then they had the actual fumble. The worry for them is if they're not capitalizing on their end of the field, they could find themselves in very big trouble later on.
Cameron under center. Play fake, back to throw. Wants to go deep down the middle to no one in particular, and it will be second down. That pass sailed over the head of both DJ McFadden and Zach Drew Tolles. And Cameron's lucky there wasn't a blue jersey lurking in the secondary to pick that off, because it was would have been a room service throw for an interception.
That blue jersey would have been, of course, Aaron Jackson, who was probably
unfortunately, it seems he can't be everywhere at once.
He's going to try.
McFadden and Tolles are the receivers in the offset eye, with Alston dotting it behind Cameron. Misdirection. Alston, another counter, comes back left, tries to fight through a tackle, and then gets smothered up past the 20. Alec Davis with some late help from Caleb Valentine. And Alston only gets back to the line of scrimmage, third down and 10. And again, here comes Jamar Davis, and Nick Stiff will be the extra defensive back on third down and long. And another opportunity to get a big stop for the Javelinas. Jaron Manning comes in to be the halfback in the shotgun. Trips to the right side, single receiver left. Back to throw, Cameron. Right flat ball tip, but it still gets to Manning. Cuts back inside. Davis with the pursuit will smother at about the 26-yard line. And good pursuit on the backside by Davis to prevent Manning from getting up ahead of steam. Fourth down coming up. And Matthew Rodriguez, who's averaging nearly 40 yards per boot, will come into punt. Donovan Moore is the return man for the Javelinas. Jamuk does have one blocked punt this season. But Rodriguez gets himself a line drive kick that's going to bounce about the 40. Rolls to Moore on the left sideline. Makes the man miss, cuts back to the right. Is picked up and dropped to the carpet at the 31-yard line. A short return for Donovan Moore. And the Highlands will begin for the first time this evening, a possession on offense on their side of the field, 1st down and 10. And we'll see maybe if they continue trying that deep passing attack that they went to a pair of times on their last series. 47 seconds to go. We are in the first quarter, 9-3 the lead for the Javelinas. And they go with a wildcat formation. Again, Nick Pellerin ready to take the snap from the left hash. Takes it, goes left again. Might have a seam there as he crosses the 45, 40, to the 50, left sideline 40, towards the middle, to the 30, left sideline 20. Nick Pellerin is gone. Touchdown, Javelinas. A 69-yard touchdown burst off left tackle for Nick Pellerin. But there might be trouble back near the line of scrimmage. The officials are huddling, and the players all appear to be headed back to the other side of the field. And there is no penalty. It's waved off. The touchdown stands. And boy, you rarely see a swing of emotions like that this early in a football game, from touchdown to oh no to oh, it's still a touchdown. And Tamuk will try this for the second time tonight for the PAT. Good snap. Ball is down. Kick is good. So with 34 seconds to go in the first quarter, the score is the Javelinas 16 and the Cowboys 3. So Nate, so far we've seen the deep passing game hit for a touchdown, and now the running game with Nick Pellerin breaking a nearly 70-yard touchdown run has done its part, and it's a 13-point lead for Tamuk.
Tonight's game might be the welcome reprieve that the Javelinas need. Now that you're going to be out of conference this week and next week, you've got a big game in a couple of weeks against number 5 MSU Texas. You need to find your footing once again, and I mean, we're seeing running, we're seeing passing, we've seen a kick return by Jackson, we've seen a fumble return by Jackson, we've seen almost all of the elements of a football game in these first few minutes of the game so far.
That's Pellerin's longest run of the season. He had a 65-yard touchdown run against Texas Wesleyan a few weeks ago. And that's also longer than any run he had last year when his long for the season was 68, and that came against Tarleton State right here. And now if you're Highlands, you need your offense to come through and do something. Your defense might be a little shell-shocked right now. They need some time to rest and adjust. The Garza kicking it deep to Henderson, takes it right side at the 1. Coming left now, cuts straight upfield to the 15, and is dropped inside the 20 by Brett Hertel. Hertel had 6 tackles last year on special teams, and Brett Hertel making his presence felt in the kicking game here in 2018 as well. They spot Henderson down at the 17-yard line. And Highlands offense with a long way to go. Kamari Mosby will start this possession at halfback as he is behind Cameron, single back. 2 tight ends left side. They give it to Mosby, squirts through a hole to the 25, to the 30, left sideline 40, to the 45, and he's shoved out of bounds by Peyton Hendricks. A 30-yard run for Mosby. That's his longest of the season. And Highlands might be in business on offense. Just found a little sliver of daylight on the left side of that line and scampered through it into the secondary. Mosby stays in. 2 receivers to the far side right. Henderson and McFadden. Drew Tolles is the man left side, matched up with Jordan Seminot. Shotgun snap to Cameron. Looking right on a slant, incomplete through the hands of a diving Henderson. And that will be the final play of the first quarter here from Javelina Stadium. The score at the end of 1, The Javelina 16 and the Cowboys 3. You're listening to and watching Javelina Football on the Javelina Sports Network and KTAI 91.1. We'll be right back in 30 seconds.
Quarter of tonight's game sponsored by Forky's. Printing classes being more. Forky's located at 225 East Danger in Kingsville. Thanks to Forky's Printing Photography and more.
Second quarter about to get underway. The Javelinas with a 16-3 lead over the New Mexico Highlands Cowboys, who have a 2nd and 10 from their own 47. Rolling right side is Danny Cameron, the quarterback. Pass caught by McFadden near the first down marker. He's nailed there by Jordan Seminot. And that will be a fresh set of downs for Highlands. The first quarter stats, Tamuk with 150 yards of total offense, 78 on the ground, 72 through the air. And Nate, they're already more than halfway to their total as far as yards for the entire game last week against Eastern New Mexico. This offense off to a fantastic start tonight.
Running the ball with Pelrin, and we've seen Milburn get a carry, his first carry of the year. Pelrin has 75 yards in the first quarter.
Cameron, hand up on a toss. Left side goes Henderson. Turns upfield past the 45. Is slung down by Sean Landez at the 41. Only a gain of about a yard. And yeah, we've seen that deep passing game that this team likes to go to once in a blue moon. They've been aggressive with that so far. And yeah, the run game, Pelrin 75 yards. Has an opportunity to get to 100 yards for the second time this season. Second down, a two-man backfield with Elijah Boyd playing the role of fullback in the eye, 2 receivers. Cameron under pressure. Goes up a jump ball on the right side to Seminot and McFadden, but the ball fell short of both men. If Seminot just turned around a little quicker, he would have had an easy interception and might have been gone. But sticking with his receiver all the way, incomplete third down. Highlands 2 of 4 on this down tonight. And they bring in an extra receiver. Diego Elabari replaces Darryl McIntyre, the tight end. And now Alston comes in for Mosby at halfback. Lewis Webb also in at receiver. He's wide to the near side right. Cameron in the shotgun. Here comes a blitz. He has time, though. Throwing deep on the left side for Drew Tolles. Over his head, incomplete. Not a great throw from Cameron into coverage and high. And Tolles, even at 6 feet tall, couldn't climb the ladder for that one. Fourth down. Not a terrible possession for Highlands. They move outside of their own 20. They flip field position a little bit. Now it's on their defense. They have to get a stop and try and give them the ball back with good field position. But their defense also had an opportunity to rest and probably make some changes based on the last 2 drives for the Javelinas.
If it wasn't for the turnovers, the Cowboys would be in much better shape.
I think that's a very fair point. You're exactly right. Not to mention the holding penalty, too, on their first drive that helped short-circuit that march. Rodriguez with a line drive punt towards the corner, and Donovan Moore will watch it bounce out of bounds at about the 15-yard line. Rodriguez nearly had that one blocked as Chris Barnes got in and almost got a hand on that. But he pins the Hogs inside their own 20, and Detmer in this offense back to work still with a 13-point lead and 13:29 to go before halftime. Hogs also, I hope I don't jinx this. Hogs are without a penalty so far in this game. Detmer comes out with one receiver. That's Dilworth near side left. And 3 tight ends bunched to the left side as well. Jeff Carr is a single back. And now Highlands jumps off sides. And everybody's pointing at the opponent saying, no, it was that guy. And I have a feeling the referees are going to have to huddle to figure out who's going to get docked 5 yards.
Offside. Defense, number 93. 5-yard penalty for the previous spot. Make first down.
And the Hoggies do that a lot. We see them a lot of times come out with a bunch to one side, and the guys will just jump up and move to the other side. They go in motion. At that time, it bought this team 5 yards. Now a 1st and 5 makes everybody's life easier on offense for the Hogs. Detmer with those 3 tight ends bunched. They move from left to right. Carr against the single back. Pitch right side. Crossing the 20-25. Is stood up around the 26-yard line. He'll go no further. But he does have a 1st down. And that pitch was rolling from the moment Carr got his hands on the football. The blocking blew out the right side of that, or she said the left side of the Highlands defense. And Carr really didn't get contacted until he got stopped with a 1st down already in his back pocket. Single back, same formation. They pitch it right to Carr again. Turns upfield, crossing the 30, cuts back left 40 to the 45. Back towards the middle to the 50. Still going across midfield to the Cowboys 45. That's a 28-yard run for Nick Carr. And this offense has certainly found a rhythm here in the first half.
It appears Darren Wilkinson, by running that play for the 2nd time in a row, has identified that as a weak spot in the Highland defense.
You almost think that he saw something the first time they ran it that said, oh, if we could just fix this, we'll get a big run out of it. And they ran it again, and Carr broke it for nearly 30. Single back, 3 receivers. Detmer, play fake, under pressure, rolling left, has an open man. Posada caught the 40, fingertip catch 35. He's got a 1st down. Detmer with his 2nd on-point throw of the night. And Kingsville moves the chains again.
It was just high enough out of the reach of that Highland defensive back and into the hands of Posada.
Yeah, the coverage was not bad. Cameron Forziati was right there, and he put every ounce of effort into that leap. He probably felt the ball whistle over his fingertips as he tried to knock it away, but another great throw from Detmer. Wildcat formation. High snap to Pellerin. Right side trying to get around Forziati, and does. 35, sideline to the 30. And he's run out of bounds there. Pellerin took what almost looked like a disaster, turned it into 4 yards. And the Hogs already with 113 yards on the ground. They're averaging 14 yards per rush. Pellerin with 75 yards so far in this one. Carr has 35. Under center is Detmer. And I think they're going to get Torrey Thomas for a false start. Detmer sent Posada in motion to the left side, and Thomas jumped as well. And that'll be 5 yards against the Javelinas.
I hope you don't feel bad about jinxing them.
I'll get over it.
All right.
If they keep playing like this on offense, the good thing is nobody's going to care.
Fair
but
point.
Obviously plenty of football left to be played. 11:30 to go in the 2nd quarter. 16-3 the lead for the Hogs over the Highlands Cowboys. 2nd and 11 from the 35. 2 receivers to the left, 2 tight ends to the right. And now Posada goes in motion to the left side. Detmer, play fake to Pellerin, back to throw. Right side, a screen for Thomas. Gets to the 30, right sideline, near the 25. Ran out of bounds right around there. That was a really good play design by Wilkinson. You fake it to one side to Pellerin, and then you have Detmer just spin and fire to Thomas. All the Highlands players sold out for the run or for the quarterback, and there were not many guys left to knock out Torrey Thomas, who goes 6'4", 215.
It wasn't easy for Detmer either to square his shoulders after the spin and make sure he's finding Thomas with an accurate throw.
1st and 10 at the 23. Hans just outside the red zone. Detmer with 4 receivers. Left flat for Milburn. Gets a block to the 20. Cuts back towards the inside. Something flew off. I don't know if that was a flag or what it was, but it was yellow. And that was, I believe, a flag might have come in from the secondary.
out. 15 yards. Replay first down.
And boy, that is a drive killer. Block below the waist, loses 15 yards for the Javelinas. And now for the Hogs, the objective has to be just getting in certain field goal range for Julio de la Garza, as they're back at the 38-yard line now. And that's a similar type of penalty to what derailed Highlands' first series. They still got 3 points out of it, but could have had more if it wasn't for a holding penalty. Tamuk trying to avoid a similar fate, although I think they would be not too disappointed with 3 points on this march. Pistol formation, 3 receivers. Detmer Jr. with a play fake. Rolling right, tries to hit Posada on the flat end, does. Posada cuts back towards the inside, gets across the 35 to the 34 on 1st and 25. About a 4-yard gain.
Number 13, Kelly Brown.
The Javelina still with 2 more downs here. Could attempt to chip away on 1st down. Detmer 6 of 9 for 95 yards with a touchdown so far. Donovan Moore goes wide to the right side. Aaron Dilworth comes out left. Offset I formation. Play fake Pellerin. Detmer looks like he wants to load up and go deep. Steps up in the pocket. Now he's going to pitch it to Pellerin through his hands. Incomplete. And Detmer just caught his running back in between. Pellerin was turning to block. He thought Detmer was going to run, just as Detmer said, no, you take it.
Especially when you're facing, when you're now facing a 3rd and 21, you know, any kind of positive yardage is what you were looking for. And I think Detmer probably had some room to grab 5 or 6 yards and probably take a seat somewhere on the turf.
Little bit of indecision there from the quarterback, but you can hardly blame him for trying to get the ball in Pellerin's hands. Nothing against Detmer, he's a good athlete, but Pellerin's quicker than he is. Shotgun, 3 receivers. Detmer looking over the middle, steps up in the pocket. Now has room to run, throws it near side for Armstrong, incomplete. Detmer probably had 10 yards if he just pulled it down and run and decided to throw it.
Pass intended for number 18, Jacob Armstrong. Falls incomplete. Brings up 4th down.
And now De La Garza will try and hit a 51-yarder. His long of this season is 45. He is 3 of 5 on the year. This kick will be from the right hash. Rosalini gets it down. The kick is blocked. Rolling free at the 40. Picked up and dropped. Right there is Malik Brown. And looking back at the replay of that 3rd down play by Detmer, he had 5 yards easy if he pulls it down and runs. But the Hogs have to settle for the field goal try from 50. It gets blocked. And now the Cowboys begin this drive at their own 47. Pristine field position.
I don't think our replay got to it.
And it looked like De La Garza's kick was blocked from the center of that Highlands line. Cameron with a little bit of a broken play, it seems, gives it to Alston, who manages to get back to the line of scrimmage, maybe got half a yard. 2nd down and 9 coming up for the Cowboys.
You know, for the Cowboys, you can't be upset particularly about where you are. Obviously, you've had a couple of penalties and a fumble that have set you back a couple of possessions, but you're still winning the time of possession game. They're still doing a lot of things on offense. Staying with what they do is important.
Cameron to throw. Play action. Under pressure. He gets sacked. Jalen Harrison and Caleb Valentine drop him back inside the 40. And there's some of the pressure that Haskell Buff was hoping to see this week. The 3rd sack of the year for this Kingsville defense.
I believe that's the 4th or 5th hit that they've had against Cameron in this Cowboys offense.
For Harrison and Valentine, that'll be probably half a sack for them. Will be their first half of a sack of the season. 3rd and 18. Cameron, 3 receivers, gets the shotgun snap. Pressure coming again. Steps up away from pressure. He gets hit and sacked again. Brandon Jones got him that time. And it's 4th down. And what a pair of big plays from this defense. After the blocked field goal, the Cowboys start just a little bit behind midfield, and they can't go anywhere. They go backwards and have to punt once again. And Donovan Moore will go back to receive this kick from Matthew Rodriguez.
That's just really great to see Brandon Jones in the backfield and bringing down a quarterback to the turf. He's done that so often in his Javelina career. It's good to see him do it again.
And a little bit of a change being made on this special teams unit. Rodriguez gets the snap. A low line drive kick that's going to bounce before it hits the 40. Moore almost scooped it up. It rolls and rolls. A great bounce for Rodriguez. That bounce brought him an extra 20 yards as the ball is down around the 22-yard line. And Tamuk will begin this drive there.
Yes.
78 yards away from pay dirt. And it's where Coy Detmer Jr. and company will begin this drive. And the Cowboys came out on offense. I think they were pretty confident they could move the ball against this defense. They managed to get across midfield. The drive stalled. They kicked a field goal. But since then, this Highland defense has been making the plays necessary to slow them down and keep them off the scoreboard, whether it was the fumble caused by Aaron Jackson or those last 2 sacks to end this previous possession. This defense is making the plays I think we all thought they'd be able to make week in and week out.
It was the opposite of what happened last week against Eastern New Mexico. You know, Eastern New Mexico was, when they got possession on their side of on the Javelina side of the field, they drove down fairly quickly and they were able to get 6 points. This time around, Eastern New Mexico Highlands, they've fumbled the football. They haven't been able to get Cameron clean because he's been sacked on the last 2 plays of their offensive drive. So, you know, it really helps when you're able to get the pressure that the Javelinas have been able to get on Danny Cameron.
And also, one of the things that really was indicative of that loss that caused the Javelinas to lose that game last week was missed opportunities on defense, where there was missing tackles, overrunning ball carriers, things like that. The defense has not done that so far in this game. They've taken advantage of chances, whether it's to force turnovers or to sack the quarterback to make stops. And that's one of the reasons that they've been able, I think, to have some success in the first half of this game. Pistol formation, Detmer with Carr behind him, 3 receivers. They get to Carr straight into the middle, is met quickly. Hit almost immediately by Jacoby Mills. 2nd down and 9. Mills, one of the defensive ends on this team from Pampa, Texas. A lot of Texas players on this Cowboys roster. And Wildcat with Pellerin. 2 tight ends right. Pellerin takes it, runs right. Trying to find a hole, gets to the 25, a gain of 2. And 3rd down and 7 will be waiting for Coy Detmer as he comes back out onto the field.
And on the tackle for the Cowboys, number 20, William Morris. 3rd down and about 7.
Kingsville trying to break a 2-game skid, looking for their 2nd win of the season. Their first one came at home. Trying to get back above 500 here at Javelina Stadium. Empty backfield. 3 men left with Nick Pellerin, the wide man. Donovan Moore's in the game wide right. Detmer to throw. Rush coming. Throw deep in the field for Milburn across midfield. Caught at the 47. And tackled right there. The 2nd big hookup between Detmer and Milburn tonight. And Kingsville with a big play and a 1st down.
That's another Javelina 1st down.
Call it a 30-yard gain. And Detmer with 128 yards is approaching his total from last week when he finished with 158. Offset eye. Pellerin in the backfield. Receivers left, Wilson and Dilworth. Play fake, Detmer. Rolling left under pressure. Throwing for Williams. Caught it, bottled it, and it was intercepted. Running away to the 45. Left side to the to the 35, to the 30. Goes Malik Brown inside the 15. And he's run out of bounds inside the 10-yard line.
I know that was Detmer Jr.'s 7th interception of the season, but that's not an interception you can blame on the junior.
I think you got to give credit to the player who made the hit on Williams. Hit him perfectly with the shoulder right on the football. It popped out, and Brown was just Johnny on the spot to make the interception. I'll give credit. I think it was Cameron. I think it was Cameron Forziati who made the hit on Williams that made the ball pop out. And then Brown with the interception and the return. If you just heard an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty against Ro Posada, that moves the ball to the 3. And if you're Highlands, this is exactly what the doctor ordered. A touchdown here will get you right back in this football game with 5:13 to go before we hit halftime. Offset eye. Cameron rolling to the right, looking into the end zone, throwing it backside left for his tight end. It is caught for a touchdown as he hits Darryl McIntyre.
Number 86, Darryl McIntyre, touchdown.
So Highlands with an interception, and one play later, Cameron and McIntyre hook up for the score. Cameron's 10th touchdown of the season for McIntyre. That's his 2nd catch in the end zone this year. And Israel Farfan on to try and make this a 6-point game. Good snap. Ball is down. Kick is good. With 5:07 to go in the second quarter, the score is the Javelina 16 and the Cowboys 10. And we've seen both teams now capitalize off turnovers. Kingsville's first touchdown came after the fumble recovery by Aaron Jackson when Detmer hooked up with Milburn. This time it's an interception for Highlands, and one play later they turn it into their first touchdown, and we have a 6-point game now.
It was a clever play call for offensive coordinator Matt Clark. I believe what they had Cameron do was look towards the right side of the field and then go left and loft the ball over the top for McIntyre for his 2nd touchdown of the season. And like you said, Highlands they're back in the football game.
It's the kind of play you feel like every offensive coordinator has in his back pocket, where you have the quarterback play fake, run one way, the tight end fakes a block and tries to slip out to the left side. The coverage was there for the Javelinas. Cameron just lofted it in a really good spot. McIntyre, the only guy who could catch it. Reminded me of a play, if any football fans with a good memory of mine exist, when Marcus Mariota beat the Saints in New Orleans in overtime. It was in exactly that same type of play. Mariota rolled to the right, the tight end slipped left side to a wide open space in the end zone, and Mariota hit him for the touchdown. A similar play right there as McIntyre catches his 2nd score of the season. 6-point game as Israel Farfan with a pooch kick to the left side. Dropped by Jacob Clarkson, and Jeff Carr has to fall on it at the 21-yard line. I think Clarkson was going to catch it and lateral it back to Carr, but he just couldn't keep his mitts on the football. No return there. The Hawks start at their own 21. And Clarkson's the defensive lineman. He's not used to catching kickoffs, so hard to blame him for not having surer hands on that play. But obviously no chance for a return for the Javelinas. And Detmer will come back out and try again. You mentioned that was his 7th interception of the season, but really hard to put all the blame for that play on him. Offset eye, 3 receivers. And taking it back maybe to the line of scrimmage is Josh Oglesby. I think he lost a yard. 2nd and 11. There's Oglesby's first appearance of the game. And we have yet to have a Luis Lopez sighting tonight.
We didn't see him last week either against Eastern New Mexico. I thought it was interesting that Oglesby tried to hit the left side of the line on that carry. Javelinas have really tried to emphasize going around and trying to get the outside.
Right side goes Pellerin out of the Wildcat, slips a tackle in the backfield, but still can't keep his feet. stumbles down at the 18.
Tripped up by number 33.
And Sir Devontae Stewart was the man in the backfield to tackle Pellerin. So consecutive losses in the running game for the Javelinas. And now Detmer trying to make something happen through the air, no doubt, on 3rd and 13. Brian Martinez comes in at receiver. He's going to be slot to the left side. Right side, Donovan Moore. 2 men in the backfield with Detmer showing blitz, but the Highlands Cowboys back off. Detmer with plenty of time in the middle for Dilworth. Off his hand, incomplete. A little bit too high for the junior receiver. Torziati was in coverage, 4th down.
Incomplete brings up 4th down. Back to receive the punt for the Cowboys, number 17, Diego Del Barrio.
And the Highlands have had issues with punts each of the last 2 weeks with bad snaps, leading to really poor punts. And this is a spot where those things are critical. Diego Elabarrio back to receive the kick. High snap, but De La Garza gets it off. High kick drifting down to Elabarrio at the 42 is hit and tackled immediately by Alan Smith.
42, flung back to the 40-yard line. On tackle for the Hawkins.
And names like Alan Smith and Jacob Armstrong are going to be names you hear a lot on special teams. They have been the special teams aces for this team, even going back to last season. And Smith on the spot there to make the tackle. The Cowboys lose a couple yards on that return. They'll begin this drive at their own 40. And Sean Sims in a defensive tackle with Vaughn Taylor. And Alec Lewis again back in at linebacker. Cameron to throw. Has time, wants to go deep. Looking for Zach Drew. Tolles overthrew him. Tolles had beaten Jordan Seminot, but I think he slowed down a little bit, and that prevented him from being able to make the catch. 2nd and 10. Highlands going for the jugular on the first play.
One thing we haven't seen a whole lot of on the last 4 or 5 plays from this Javelina defense has been the pass rush. Cameron has had all time to throw.
2 receivers to the left side with DJ McFadden, the wide man. I formation. Cameron giving it to Alston. Right side squirts through a hole to about the 44. And that's where he's brought down 4-yard gain. It will be 2nd down and 6. And Steve Roach in the house, the newly hired director of athletics here for Tamook. Taking in a football game here at Javelina Stadium. Third down and 6. 2 receivers left, 1 man right. Cameron with a couple men in the backfield. Nick Stiff showing blitz off the edge. Here he comes. Cameron with a bigger blitz coming over the middle. Pass popped high in the air and picked off by Nick Stiff. Peyton Hendricks was in coverage on Diego Elabarrio. Batted it up in the air, and Stiff full go to pick that pass off. 1st and 10 now for Tamook.
It was high time for the Javelinas to have their own wacky interception after the one Detmer Jr. quote-unquote threw.
And Nick Stiff with the pick. That's his 2nd INT of the season and the 6th of the year for Haskell Buff's defense. And now Detmer with good field position at the 45. And a huge swing there. Highlands starts off the drive at their own 40, looking to take the lead. Now the Hogs can try and make this a 2-score game. And Jacob Armstrong running on the field late. He's going to be on the right side in a trips formation. Shotgun. Detmer with the snap. Hand out to Carr, left side. Looking for some space. Finds it across the 50. 45, cuts back right to the 35, to the 30. Left side to the 20. Sideline to the 15, 10. To the 5. Touchdown, Javelinas. Jeff Carr with a weaving 55-yard journey through the New Mexico Highlands defense. The 2nd long touchdown run of the night for the Javelinas, and they jump right back in front by 2 touchdowns.
Right after Carr got the handoff, he kind of stuttered a little bit. He wasn't sure where he was going to go, but as you said, weaving through that Highland defense on his way to the end zone. Of course, he got some great blocking downfield as well.
Extra point. Spot is down. Kick is good. 2:28 to go in the second quarter. The score, the Javelinas 23 and the Cowboys 10. And Nate, as we both said, that was a touchdown run that seemed like it was going to take all night. Carr wet left, cut back inside, cut back to the right, crossed the 40, started running left, made a cut back left side to the 15, and then cut back inside, just inside the 5 to find that last bit of daylight he needed to get in the end zone. And if Carr's touchdown run was a sprint, or Pellerin's was a sprint, Carr's was kind of a jaunt, like a really twisting journey through this defense as he avoided one tackler after another.
Oh, hey, by the way, that was the 3rd touchdown. So everybody gets the 3-2 punt off the floor. Fans over at Whataburger on the way out the stadium. Thanks again to Whataburger for being a part of Javelina Athletics.
Carr now with 91 yards on the ground. Nick Pellerin with 80. And Duluth looking to have a pair of 100-yard rushers. They already have rolled up 173 yards on the ground. They're still averaging better than 10 yards a rush. They're at 12.4. And their total offense is at 301. This team only averages 332 so far this season. But Highlands has not found an answer for this offense, and especially for the run game so far.
Not as of yet, and you know, that was one of the big issues with this Cowboy defense, giving up the pass. We've seen Detmer exploit the Highland defense and running the football. Carr's long run, as we just saw, Pellerin's long run down the left sideline earlier in this quarter. You know, you felt like New Mexico Highlands, you know, had garnered some momentum after they had that interception and scored on the following drive. But defensive issues in terms of blocking, in terms of tackling, continue to haunt this Cowboy defense.
Lagarza to kick it off. TJ Jackson is back to receive. But instead it will be taken by Henderson, who takes it out of the end zone to the 10. Middle of the field to the 15. Aaron Jackson meets him, stands him up, and he does not reach the 20. Down at the 17, we're calling Aaron Jackson's name a lot tonight, Nate. He makes another play on the kickoff.
And really, outside of that bobbled snap on the extra point, the special teams this evening for Texas A&M-Kingsville has been phenomenal in terms of returns, tackling. They've been able to stand up the Cowboys well whenever they're kicking off or kicking it away.
Cameron was intercepted his last time out. And his team now back down by 13 as we get near halftime. Cameron giving it to Alston off the right side. Gets to about the 20. And is tackled there, and the Javelinas want a timeout. And there's a player down for Highlands. Appears to be one of their offensive linemen. And one of the Highlands coaches out on the field screaming at the officials. Something, at least in his eyes, that took place in that play was not kosher. You can't see who the player is who is injured right now. And there was definitely a little bit of a wrestling match that took place after the play between Alec Lewis and the player who is injured right now. And I think that's what the coaching staff was yelling about, because
2:13 on the game clock.
the offensive lineman looked like on the replay like he was ready to get up. But in Lewis's defense, it looked like this lineman had his knee on Alec Lewis's neck, which is not a fun place to be. To have a 300-pound lineman, and it is Tarini Osi who is getting up and heading towards the sideline. So I'm sure neither player came out of that altercation too happy. But the good news is that at least both players seem to come out of it okay. Osi still squatting near about the 25-yard line. And now slowly resumes his walk towards the sideline.
Yeah, Tosi's a big man, 6'2", 354, out of Anchorage, Alaska. You don't see a lot of football players from Alaska. You certainly don't see them playing football for a school in New Mexico, and yet here he is. But one more thing on this offensive line, specifically for the Javelina defense, they've really owned it, because a runner like Alston coming into tonight averaging over 115 yards per game rushing, he only has 21.
Cameron with a handoff to Alston, trying the right-sided submarine by Aaron Jackson at the 20-yard line. No gain on that play. And another timeout called by Darren Wilkinson. So far in this game, Alston is not even the leading rusher for Highlands. He has just 21 yards on 7 carries. So if Haskell Buff and Company came into this game with a game plan to neutralize Deion Alston, it has worked so far. He has not been able to get going. And anytime you have a running back who's that talented and you can't get him started, you can't find productivity from that spot, it's going to make the quarterback's job that much tougher, because he has to shoulder more of that weight. Cameron so far tonight just 9 of 16 for 80 yards, 1 touchdown, and that interception. And Tarini Osi is back in the game, so good news there. 3rd and 6. The Highlands are down to their final timeout. There is 2:01 on the game clock. And the blue and gold will receive the second half kickoff. Mosby in the backfield, play fake to him. Cameron over the middle, through the hands of Devin Henderson. Incomplete. Henderson would have had a chance to get to the marker if he caught that. There was a defender in pursuit, but 4th down coming up as Rodriguez will come back out to punt.
I think back on the Javelina side of the field, there was a similar play to Henderson that the ball just went through his hands and he wasn't able to corral it. So, back-to-back times where Henderson could have had big yardage. Now we're seeing the punter out for New Mexico Highlands.
Rodriguez averaging 37 yards per kick, more with 1 punt return for 3 yards so far. Hogs showing a rush. Here they come, and Rodriguez gets it off a low kick that's going to bounce off the helmet of Devin Milburn. Moore picks it up but bobbles it, and Highlands has it in Javelina territory. And if you're Devin Milburn, I don't know what you're supposed to do. The punt is a short punt. It hits off your helmet. I don't know how you're prepared for that. I thought Moore had a shot to scoop it up after it hit Milburn's helmet. Milburn and Moore were the 2 closest guys to it right after it hit the ground, but neither one could find the handle, and Highlands with another huge break, moving to Javelina territory. Cameron shotgun 3 receivers. Back first steps up in the pocket, has room to run. He's across the 30, middle of the field to the 25, cuts back towards the middle, trying to get to the 20, is tackled at the 21. A 17-yard scramble for Danny Cameron. His long run coming into this game was 4 yards. But right there, he brings the football to the edge of the red zone as we tick towards 90 seconds to play till the half. And now we get whistles blowing, and Zach Drew Tolles heading towards the sideline. A timeout called by Highlands with 1:26 to go. And we'll have a special guest at halftime, and we'll be excited to reveal that to you once we come back on the air to start our halftime show. 1:26 to go until we reach the halfway mark. 23-10 the score in favor of the Javelinas. And the scoring started with a 54-yard field goal by Israel Farfan in the first quarter. The Hogs responded with a 23-yard boot from Julio De La Garza. They took the lead when Coy Detmer Jr. hooked up with Devin Milburn from 48 yards away to make the score 9-3. Nick Pellerin ran for a 69-yard touchdown to put the Hogs up by 13, a touchdown from each side, and we are back at a 13-point game, and now we get more whistles.
Practice out. Timeout.
And the Hogs will call a timeout, gives you time to complete the scoring summary. Highlands moved back within 6 when Cameron hit Daryl McIntyre for a 3-yard touchdown. And the Hogs stretched their lead back out to 13 on a 55-yard touchdown run by Jeff Carr. And so the Javelinas are now out of timeouts with 1:26 to go. So with this being a first down, the Cowboys can run the clock as much as they want to and try and make this the final possession of the half. As I said before, the Hogs will get it to start the second half. So if you are the Highlands Cowboys, you want to make sure this deficit is as small as possible, obviously, before you hit halftime. You want your possession to be the last one. Cameron and Alston in the backfield in the shotgun, 4 receivers. Cameron to throw. Pressure coming, steps up, a shovel pass over the head of Alston, incomplete. That's the second time we've had a quarterback and a running back not be on the same page on one of those shovel passes. 2nd and 10. And plays like that are good news for the Hogs for multiple reasons, but also because it stops the clock, and I don't doubt that Wilkinson has faith in his offense to move the ball down the field for points if they get possession back with around a minute to go. And some confusion as the receivers get everything sorted out for Highlands. Henderson to the left side, Drew Tolles and McFadden to the right side. Shotgun, Cameron to throw again, looking for a quick pass. Pressure coming, moves up in the pocket and is dropped. 3rd sack of the day for the Hogs. With 1:13 to go, and Highlands calls a timeout. Boy, that's an odd maneuver. If I'm them, I want that clock to run. Like, run the clock out, kick your field goal, and get to the locker room. You don't want to give Detmer, with the potency that this deep passing game has shown so far in this contest for the Javelinas, another chance to tack on points. But Tamook with its 3rd sack of the night. The Cowboys used their final timeout with 1:13 to go in a 13-point game. Detmer, to my point, in this one, 8 of 15 for 128 and a touchdown. Obviously had the one fluky interception on the deflected pass to Kyle Williams. And Devin Milburn has been his target in the passing game. 3 catches for 83 yards. And those 83 yards, that is a game high, a season high for a Javelina receiver in one game. Dilworth and Ty Chisholm had 82 against Commerce. And Milburn, of course, with a touchdown to show for his efforts as well. 3rd and 10. Clock shows 1:13. Scoreboard shows 23-10 Javelinas. And now we're ready to go. 3 down linemen for the Hogs. Cameron with no blitz. A screen right side for Alston. Crosses the 20. Gets to the 15 and is tackled there. And that's not a bad play for Highlands. You get yourself closer to, or I should say in closer field goal range for Farfan, and you keep the clock ticking.
He's up 4th down and 3.
So you can almost kill the rest of this first half before you kick your field goal. Farfan 1 for 1. Hit from 54 earlier. This one will be from 31 from the right hash. Brendan Guerin, the holder. And now we get early movement. Flags fly. The kick is no good. And now a late flag comes in. They might get a late hit or running into the kicker from Jordan Seminot. This might be a first down because it was only 4th down and 3, even if it's 5 yards. That's a fresh set of downs with still 29 seconds to play. And I thought before the contact late that the Javelinas were in the neutral zone. Brett Bosler immediately signaling first down Cowboys. And 5 officials in a huddle trying to sort out what may be multiple fouls on this snap.
The 2 fouls on the play, both on the defense. Offsides, defense number 3, and penalty 5. Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, defense number 21. The penalty being forced half the distance to the goal, automatic first down.
And it is indeed a personal foul on Jordan Seminot. And now Highlands with a renewed opportunity to try for a touchdown. They're going to get the ball on the 7-yard line. And both sides are out of timeouts. So if the Hawks could get in for a sack here, it would pretty much end the Cowboys' shot at a touchdown. They'll probably just spike it and kick a field goal. 3 receivers left, including T.J. Jackson. Cameron looking left side. Flag comes from the secondary. Pass is knocked away by Devontae Williams. We'll check the flag. There's a good chance it'll be either defensive holding or illegal contact. 24 seconds now showing on the clock. It looked like one of the receivers for Highlands was trying to run a slant. I think it was Jackson trying to get inside on a slant and see if he could get his defender caught up in the wash there. But I think he might have been held while he was running the route. Officials still discussing the flag. This is like the last 2 minutes of a basketball game at the last 2 minutes of this half.
2 fouls on the play, both on the defense. Holding, defense number 21. That penalty being forced half the distance to the goal. After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct, defense number 3. Half the distance to the goal, automatic first down. This number 3 first. Unsportsmanlike towards disqualification.
That's the 3rd personal foul against Jammu tonight. We had the one earlier against Roposada, then one against Seminot, and now one against Caleb Valentine. And now it's first down and goal from the 2. Hogs shooting themselves in the foot a little bit here at the end of the half. Cameron looking left. Throwing incomplete. Hendricks in coverage on the intended receiver Jackson. Or check that, make that Emmanuel Lamanze. Second down, 20 seconds to play. And these that you would think would be quick passes because you don't want, if you're Highlands, you don't want Cameron to sit back there and risk a sack and you maybe getting no points. But now Highlands coming out with 2 tight ends and a single receiver, and now more whistles blow as the officials reset the play clock. And this is an I formation with the fullback Jason Aguirre in. Kamari Mosby's the halfback. Man running off the field for the Javelinas. He didn't get off. Pass in the flat. Caught. Touchdown for Aguirre. The flag is down, but it's offsides. This will be declined. Aguirre just slipped out into the flat on the play action, and Cameron found him for an easy touchdown toss. So in otherwise excellent half of football from the Javelinas ends on a pretty sour note. A number of penalties. A field goal try that gets waved off because of a couple blue and gold penalties, and the Cowboys turned it into a touchdown. And the referee just announcing that it's offsides against the Javelinas. They said 34. I think it was 94 Sean Sims, but it's a moot point. And now another player comes running on late. I think it's Landez for the PAT. Flower fans trying to make this a 6-point game again. High snap, but Holder gets it down. Kick is up and good. So 17 seconds to go before we hit the half. The score is the Javelinas 23 and the Cowboys 17. And just an odd sequence there to end the half. Everything really been going well for this team, even though they've given up 10 points. I thought That was a half of football. If you're a coach, you have to be pretty happy with. But an end of the half like that is something no coach is going to be proud of. You get a couple personal foul penalties, a number of flags thrown, and Highlands turns it into their second touchdown of the night.
5 penalties. 2 of them were declined or offset for the Javelinas, and I think it was a mentality that they had when Farfan was out for the field goal attempt. They thought that maybe this was the last, perhaps, a defensive stretch that they'd have to play until halftime, and obviously penalties kept them on the field, and they didn't have enough time to regroup and get back into game mode right before the end of the half.
And 2 of those flags against Valentine, he had the offsides in the field goal that was waved off because of the personal foul, and then the unsportsmanlike conduct. And Chinook had no penalties after 1 quarter. They have 6 for 37 now, and the reason it's only 37 yards is because so many of them were half the distance. Jeff Carr, Aaron Jackson back to take this kick. 17 seconds, no timeout, so the Hogs will in all likelihood get the ball and run out the clock. Farfan, a pooch kick in the middle of the field. Clarkson will take this one. Left side to make that Brent Hertel who takes it and makes it to the 29 before he is tackled.
Brent Hertel turns for a couple of yards before he's tripped up. 1st and 10, Javelinas.
I'm searching for Clarkson. He might not have been on that return team because the Hogs might have been expecting a pooch kick. They want a hands guy out there to try and catch that. You don't want a disaster on a kickoff to create another scoring opportunity for the Cowboys before this half ends. I'd expect a simple running play here as Oglesby's in at halfback. Hand off Oglesby right up the middle, stumbles across the 30, gets to about the 33, and that will be the final play of the half. 23-17 is our score as we hit halftime here at Javelina Stadium. The Hogs lead this one by 6 as the teams head to the locker room. A good half overall for the Javelinas. They have a 6-point lead to build on once we start the second half of play, and they will get the football to begin those second half festivities. And as I mentioned, we'll have a special guest here during the halftime show. We'll take our first break and be right back. This is the Javelina Sports Network and KTAI 91.1. First half of play is in the books here from Javelina Stadium, and the Javelina marching band on the field, taking the field as they always do at halftime. Nate Cotiso alongside myself, Mark and Sarah. 23-17 is our score through one half of play. And Nate, the final, let's say, minute of the half aside, really good first 30 minutes for the Javelinas.
Really good from the standpoint of Corey Detmer Jr. Last week, he was 1 of 2 in terms of passing, right around 50%. And that's where he's just about, at this point, 8 of 15 with an interception. A lot of the medium stuff, and that's how the medium has stretched into New Mexico Highland territory for deeper yardage. And I think this is they're striking the right balance in terms of play calling, running the ball and throwing it as well.
Yeah, Detmer with only 8 completions, 15 attempts, not an ideal completion percentage, but he's been maximizing those opportunities. They have obviously a 48-yard touchdown to Devin Milburn. Milburn caught another long pass in the game. Milburn has 3 catches for 83 yards in this contest. The Highlands have been trying to get chunk plays with their completions. They are still incorporating the short passing game that they use so often, but they're going deep a lot. They feel like they can obviously get deep on this Highlands defense. That plays are there down the field, and Detmer has been on point in a lot of those chances, and the Hogs have been able to take advantage of them.
They've taken advantage of them, and as I said earlier in the first half, there were certain instances last week against Eastern New Mexico where Kingsville had chances inside Eastern New Mexico territory, and they weren't able to finish them. And as this second quarter seemed to go along, of course, before the end of the second quarter, in terms of the last minute and a half, the offense was rolling about as good as we've seen in quite some time.
And obviously one of the big reasons I think that the passing game has such success is how well this running game has functioned for the Highlands. This is indicative of the type of running game the type of success we saw this team have on the ground a few weeks ago against Texas Wesleyan. So far in this game, 15 carries for 176 yards. Both Carr and Pellerin look like they're going to end this night with over 100 yards rushing. This has been the type of running game that I think guys like Darren Wilkinson and the offensive line coach and running game coordinator Phil Searchett dream about when they go to sleep at night. A game like this where you're just running the ball for 10 yards a clip. Both Carr and Pellerin have broken long runs for touchdowns in this game. This running game has really thrived tonight, and this offensive line does not look like a patchwork offensive line. They have been blowing the Cowboys defenders off the football, and there's been a lot of room for Carr and Pellerin to run.
And I think, it's you go back to the Angelo State game that you were in San Angelo for, and Luis Lopez was the leading rusher that game with around 40 yards, and of course Pellerin last week was around 40 yards. So the way last week went for Texas A&M-Kingsville, Pellerin started off well, but they sort of went away from him as the game went along. But they've been consistent about getting the ball in number 2's hands, and instead of doing the wildcat play for the first play on offense, they've done it other times in this first and the second quarter as well, and they haven't really gone away from them. And as you know, it's all about a rhythm when you're talking about running backs. The more touches you get, the more comfortable you feel out there, and we've seen that comfort with Carr and Pellerin amassing nearly 100 yards apiece in the first half.
And you also have to imagine what kind of a confidence booster this must be for this offense. Obviously still 30 minutes to go in this game, but just moving forward even into the next couple of weeks, when you have a game like this with this offensive line that hasn't worked together that much, where they really function well together, where the running game is hitting on all cylinders, this team that you would think needs to run the ball consistently to have success, is going to get a huge boost in confidence moving forward for their ability to get yardage on the ground. You have a night where it just seems like everything is flowing exactly like you would want it to on the ground. Highlands on offense so far in this game with 155 yards. That's almost less than half of Tamook's output. 304 for the Hogs, 155 for the Cowboys. And the Cowboys, in their first drive, we talked about, looked good. They had to deal with a penalty and then a fumbled snap. That ended that drive. They only got 3 points out of it. Since then, they really have not been able to move the ball a lot. Their 2 touchdown drives have totaled 41 yards. they need to find some kind of a way to break out, because this looked like the Highlands are going to stop scoring. And the 2 touchdowns that they've scored, one was set up by an interception, kind of a fluky interception. They got returned inside the 10-yard line. The other one, they were going to settle for a field goal, and then a couple of penalties put them in a spot where they could try for a touchdown. The offense is going to have to make its own breaks, because in the second half, you can't rely on a bunch of stuff that rarely happens to happen again in order for you to get points. Their offense needs to find a way to make yardage and put together sustained drives, because, like I said, the Hogs don't look like they're going to stop scoring anytime soon.
They've been able to sustain drives. Highlands has been able to. They still lead in time of possession going into the break at 16 minutes and 53 seconds. Sustaining it is the problem. Isn't the problem. Finishing drives with touchdowns, and I know they did thanks to a couple of penalties towards the end of the second half, but finishing drives with touchdowns is something that New Mexico Highlands needs to do in the second half.
Well, also, I think you can look at the stat sheet. Part of the reason Highlands is winning time of possession is because Chinook's 3 touchdown drives, they have had the ball for a total of 1:17. They had a 48-yard, 50-second drive when Detmer hit Milburn for the 48-yard touchdown. They had a 1-play, 69-yard drive because of Pellerin's touchdown run, and then the 3rd touchdown drive, Carr ran for 55 yards and a score on the first play. That took 14 seconds. So part of it is just because their defense is on and off the field, giving up touchdowns so quickly on multiple occasions that they haven't had, the offense hasn't had a lot of time to get on the sideline and catch its breath. They've been thrown back out there because the Hogs have been really operating at a quick strike offense so far in this game. And that you would expect might be something in the second half that might take a toll on this Javelina defense. If they're on the field for long stretches like that, maybe it won't be because the Chinook offense is scoring touchdowns, but that could be a thing that might take its toll if their defense is on the field for a little bit too long.
You don't want to invite any more opportunities like the one we saw here at the end of the second quarter, where fatigue is an issue, and fatigue makes you do things that you don't really want, that you wouldn't normally do. And but on the other side of it, with the Javelina offense, it speaks to the potential. And you know, we go back to the Commerce game, the first week of the season, the Wesleyan game, and obviously this first half, and they can be a really good offense. And the only reason they can, well, one of the reasons they can be a really good offense is because they have the pieces to do so. It's all about tapping into that potential on an at-will basis, because there are times where they do make it look really easy. 2-3 plays, boom, they're in the end zone. And the other times when they meet a brick wall, finding a way to break it down and doing so with the medium plays that have got them those quick touchdown drives in the first place.
23-17 is our score at the half, as we are under 10 minutes to go until we start the second half of play. Nate Curtis and Mark and Sarah. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with the special guest I've been promising in just a moment. This is the Javelina Sports Network and KTAI. All right, Steve, tell me if you can hear me.
A little bit.
Talking.
Slightly.
Okay. All right. Should go back on it just. Back inside Javelina Stadium, halftime between the Javelinas and the New Mexico Highlands Cowboys. A 23-17 lead for the Javelinas as we hit the halfway point. And a special guest, as I mentioned before, the new Director of Athletics and Campus Recreation, Steve Roach, joining us. Steve, thanks for coming on, and I know you've been here before. Welcome back to Kingsville.
Thank you. Welcome. Thank you. Appreciate it. I'm glad to be back.
How many people have you had the opportunity to meet for the first time over the course of your time here today and your last few visits?
The last few visits, I met a lot of folks, especially during the press conference, before and after the press conference. Tonight, honestly, I just got into Kingsville probably around 4 p.m. today. Got to the place we're going to be staying at and kind of tried to start to get settled in, and just got to the stadium here during the middle of the first quarter. So haven't touched base with a lot of people tonight, but looking forward to. I start for real Monday, and looking forward to getting into the community and into the university and starting to meet people and working with them.
What's been your first impression of the people that you've met here in Kingsville, both on campus, just in the town itself?
You know what? I kept hearing during the interview process about the people of South Texas, Kingsville, and everything, and it's all held true. Good people. Been so hospitable, so welcoming. I show up into my office for the first time tonight during the first quarter, and there's literally a stack of cards from local community folks welcoming me to the community, offering me any help if I need it. So everything that I was told during the interview process is held true, and it's been really welcoming to both my wife and I. So we're excited to get down here and start to work with all these people.
Now, what were the things, I'm curious, that drew you to this opportunity when you first heard about it?
Yeah, honestly, it was once I got in the interview process, just A&M-Kingsville's reputation going back, championship success, especially, even this spring, the recent successes of some of the programs. But though the people were what drew me here, though, this is a university that's in a good position. It's a strong university, good academic programs. And then the people are what, during the interview process, are what really sold us on it. And each stage of the process, we were saying, okay, this is a big move coming from Pennsylvania to South Texas. And we had to feel very comfortable with it. I got 2 young daughters, and we weren't going to move them somewhere where we wanted to pick up and move again in a few years. And we just got really comfortable during the interview process with the university, the people, the community, and that's why we're here. So all those factors together are what brought us here.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, you came here from another Division II school as
Yes.
well. I came here from a Division II school as well, and obviously you get used to what the fans are like, how passionate the fans are at this level. But I'm curious to get your first impression. I was talking with my color guy, Nate, this is his first season, about the first impression when you first drive up and you see the tailgates that are outside. These are people outside have been tailgating since 9 a.m., 10 a.m. What were your thoughts the first time when you drove up and saw these people out there who've been grilling all day out on the green outside the stadium?
I absolutely love it, and I think Division II gets so undersold nationally about the passion and commitment. This is it's great football action on the field, but I love these small communities that the community gets behind the football program, all of the programs in the department, and really rallies because they're the lifeblood of these universities. So to me, it makes me smile because it's what makes Division II so unique, and they're so backed by the community, and I think the community and the university are so important to each other. I think that's what makes Division II so special. Yeah,
it's a really special atmosphere when you have people who don't just take the program at face value, who are intimately involved in all the programs, whether it be football, volleyball, basketball, baseball, softball, who know the coaches, know the players, who come back year in and year out to come and watch this team play. What's been your first impression? This is, I'm assuming, your first Javelina football game, taking in the atmosphere here in the stadium as well as the action out on the field.
Oh, I'm enjoying it. It's a great first half, and the stadium, the atmosphere, everything. I think it's just great. It is Division II football, and it's what I've been a Division II guy my whole life, and I'm drawn to Division II, and so I'm excited to get here. And I haven't had a good chance to sit down and actually watch the game yet because I've been kind of bouncing around. But I'm looking forward to the second half and seeing what the team has to offer. And I know what coaches do, so they put a tremendous amount of time and effort in each game. So I'm hoping for a Javelina victory here and getting that streak started.
Now, I know you didn't come to this school blindly. You came here with a plan. What were some of the objectives you had coming into this position?
You know what? A lot of things I heard were, they want an AD who's going to get out there, get in the community, work with the community, and connect with the community, and be the voice of the athletic department. So that's going to be mission number one here, is really getting outside of the community and telling the story. There's great stories here to tell, helping our coaches, student athletes, being the voice to go out and tell those stories about the great things that are going on here, because that's what attracts people to Division II, is these are student athletes. So I think that's mission number one. And mission two is, just hitting the ground running with the coaching staff, sitting down with the coaches, saying, okay, what do I need to know? This is not only a new school to me, this is a new region of the country to me. So there's a lot of change for me. So it's going to be sitting down with all the key coaches, university personnel and really getting to know Kingsville, the area, and saying, okay, what can we do to keep moving forward? Because I said this in the press conference, and I said it again since, this was attractive to me because it's not a total rebuild. It's important to me. It's good to me because, there's a lot of success here, and what can we do to try to get it even going better?
Well, I know we'll see you around campus a lot. Welcome. We're happy to have you here, and we look forward to seeing you around Kingsville. Steve, thank you for the time. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Steve Roach, the new Director of Athletics and Campus Recreation, will be right back on the Javelina Sports Network. The second half, just moments away. Don't go away. Both teams back on the field as we prepare to begin the second half of play here at Javelina Stadium. A big thank you to Steve Roach for coming on at halftime. Opportunity to get to know the new man in charge here in the athletic department. And a big thanks to Nate Cortiso for lending Steve his headset so we could conduct that interview. 23-17 as we start the second half. Israel Farfan kicking off. Aaron Jackson and Jeff Carr back to receive, standing in the end zone. Farfan boots it deep. Ball drifting to the left side of the field, taken by Jeff Carr at the 8. Along the hash marks left side to the 20, and runs into a crowd. It is dropped at about the 21-yard line. Dylan Gassaway to make the stop. And Tamook's offense trying to get back in rhythm. As Coy Detmer brings the Hogs back out on the field. Just run through some other scores quickly around the LSC. Texas A&M Commerce ahead 61-6 over Lock Haven. That's in the fourth quarter. Tarleton State, the number 25 team in the nation, is up 48-17 in the fourth quarter over Angelo State. As Detmer with a single back formation under center. Play fake, no, handoff to Oglesby. Left side, fighting through a couple of tacklers, gets past the 25. Gain of about 4. It'll be 2nd and 6. Also in the LSC, Western New Mexico ahead 20-7 in Odessa on UTPB in the fourth quarter. That game is as well. And Eastern New Mexico actually with a 13-7 lead in Portales over number 5 MSU Texas. So the Greyhounds trying to spring an upset, no doubt, with a little bit of momentum from last week's win here in Kingsville. Wildcat, snap to Pellerin, high snap. Runs to the wide side right, tries to get around the safety, but grabbing around the ankle was Cameron Forziati. He would not let go. There's a flag on the far side. And Roposada seems to be upset with this call. We'll see if it is indeed on him. Players shuffling on and off of the Javelinas. And they get, I believe that was Jorge Rios and Justin Johnson for the chop block. And that will throw a big old wrench into this series for the Javelinas. Second half just underway here at Javelina Stadium. Shotgun, 3 receiver to the near side right. Devin Milburn's the wide man. Handoff Pellerin. Goes left, cuts back right, trying to get around a couple defenders, giving up ground. He's back inside the 10 and is swarmed at about the 6-yard line. And now it will be 3rd down and forever. And that's the downside when you have a running back like Pellerin who can break a big run, as sometimes he tries a little bit too hard to find a big play, end up losing yardage.
This becomes a really big sequence for the Javelina offense, deep inside their own territory at their own 7, only up by 6. So the field position game, that's the game that New Mexico Highlands wants to play right now.
3rd and 25. Shotgun, empty backfield for Detmer. The thing for Detmer here, got to be careful. It's 3rd and forever. Don't try and force something and throw an interception. Detmer throwing it deep in the middle. Wide open. Dilworth caught the 40. Cuts left. Midfield for the Highlands 40. 35. Dragged down inside the 30. What was that about making? Just a safe throw? I guess not. Detmer hooks up with Dilworth for 60-plus yards. And that's the longest pass completion of the season for the Javelinas.
64 yards.
And as you can hear from Glenn Schultz just to my right, a 64-yard completion on 3rd and 25. And boy, if that doesn't deflate a defense, I don't know what will. Detmer rolling right now under pressure, going to try and run, and gets clobbered at about the 32. That's the first sack of the night for Highlands, a 2-yard loss. They give it to Adam Gay, the defensive end. Ryan Martinez coming in for Donovan Moore. 2nd down and 12. Martinez is wide to the right with Milburn in the slot. 2 tight ends left. Handoff. Oglesby has a little bit of a seam left side. Gets across the 25 and is run way out of bounds by a couple of Cowboys. Third down and manageable. Call it 3rd and 5 from the 24. And a full house backfield for Kingsville. They usually motion out of this set. Oglesby's the deep man. And sure enough, there's the motion as Torrey Thomas goes off the right side of the line. Detmer rolling right, looking for a short throw to Thomas. He is hit and dropped immediately. He'll be short of the first down. A minimal gain on that play. 4th down. But even if you get 3 points out of this, Nate, when you have a 3rd and 25 inside your own 10, getting any points after that has to be considered a smashing success.
Absolutely. Highlands absolutely needed that stop on 3rd and 25, and you can see 2 of their down linemen weren't quite down as the Javelinas were ready to take the snap, but any points here are good points.
39 yards, right hash to La Garza. Snap is down. Kick is up. Drifting left, drifting through. And De La Garza with his 2nd field goal of the day with 10:59 to go in the 3rd quarter. The score is the Javelinas 26 and the Cowboys 17.
That 64-yard reception for Aaron Dilworth on a 3rd and 25 completely flipped the field in Texas A&M-Kingsville's favor. Those 3 points aren't possible if Dilworth and specifically Detmer don't make that gutsy of a throw.
And just looking at the replay, Detmer almost threw that blind. He was about to get hit. He just probably saw a flash of a blue jersey on green grass downfield and threw it up. And there was no one in a Cowboy jersey within 5 yards of Dilworth, who then did his part after the catch and raced deeper into Cowboy territory. And just got to be a really deflating play for a defense when you give up a huge stop like that. When you're in a situation you think you're going to get a stop, get the ball back, probably in good field position, ends up you give up 3 points, and now you're back down by 2 scores. As De La Garza will boot it deep. Jackson and Henderson waiting to receive this kick. It's drifting right side to Henderson. Cuts middle of the field to the 15, to the 20, through a little bit of a hole, upended, but stays on his feet. The ball pops out late, but he was down. The Hogs jump on it, but that looked like it was a good call. I thought that Henderson was on the ground when the ball came free. And Cowboys will get the ball at their own 26. Aaron Jackson looks like slow to get up. trainers attending to him. And he's going to head off the field. That was the longest completion for the Javelina since Kay Dial's 99-yard touchdown pass to Jordan Thomas last year against Angelo State. Cameron with two receivers right there, his top two receivers, McFadden and Henderson. Cameron, deep ball, looking deep for Henderson, batted away. A great last-minute deflection by Jordan Seminot. Cameron's pass was a little bit underthrown, and Seminot, who was limping off the field now, that gave him just enough time to race back and get a hand on the football. And Seminot now going down at the 45-yard line. He's been pretty reliable at the cornerback spot for the Javelinas this season.
He's done a great job against Henderson from New Mexico Highlands. He's definitely made it difficult, not just on that batted pass there, but Henderson had a couple of opportunities. Had it not been for Seminot, he probably would have made those receptions.
And Seminot is a rare breed at cornerback. He transferred to Kingsville from Dodge City Community College before this season. He's listed at 6'2" and 190. To give you some contrast, the other three corners on Kingsville's depth chart: Aaron Jackson, who's 5'9", Brajon Crenshaw, who's 5'11", Rokeem Paul, who's 5'10". It's not often you get a 6'2" cornerback, because the coaches normally say, hey, this guy's tall, let's put him on offense and just throw the ball to him all the time. But Seminot has plenty of length at the cornerback position, and he's been an excellent defender for Haskell Buff as well as for the guys in the defensive backfield, the coaches like Eddie Moten, who's the cornerbacks coach in his first year here with the Javelina. Seminot on his feet, and he's being helped to the sideline. Obviously, you hope this is just a temporary rest for him. We have 10:44 to go in the third quarter, 26-17 the score. The Javelinas lead the New Mexico Highlands Cowboys. Kingsville looking to break a two-game losing streak, trying to pick up their second win of the season. And the new defensive back coming in is Josh Wilson. I formation. Cameron pitch left side for Alston. Slips through a attempted tackle by Devontae Williams, crosses the 30. He'll be a couple yards short of the first down, but it will be third down and manageable. And we've seen more regular I formation tonight, Nate, from the Cowboys. I think we've seen from every team combined this season. You don't see a lot of this pro-style I set at this level, or really in college football in general anymore. So many spread offenses. Shotgun, three receivers. Cameron with a blitz coming. Looking right side on a comeback route. Pass is caught and a flag is thrown. The reception was made by Henderson. It looked like it was a first down anyway. And in fairness to all involved, it did look like the defender got to Henderson a little bit before the ball did. And we look at the replay, that is all absolutely the case. The pass was incomplete, so my mistake on that. But I thought contact was made before the football arrived, and they're going to get, I think it's Devontae Williams for pass interference.
Pass interference. Defense, number 13. Spot foul. Automatic first down.
And the Hogs have been the victim of some tough penalty calls in a couple different games this season. But I think tonight the officials have done a good job. I haven't seen any calls that I disagreed with or anything that I thought was egregious that got let go.
I think for the Javelinas, this is a moment where you miss a guy like Seminot, who's still nursing an injury on the Javelina sideline, going up against Henderson for New Mexico Highlands.
It just seems like every time a cornerback gets hurt in a football game, the offense goes right at the guy who replaces him. You might see that here. Josh Wilson, though, is an experienced player who played a lot last season. And a keeper left side, Cameron, on the read option. He's fighting across midfield to the 49. He, I think, has a first down. And the Highlands offense finding success. And the line judge is saying, yep, first down.
Coming into today, he only had, his longest run of the year was 4 yards.
He had negative 30 rushing yards entering this game.
And he's had two carries that went for 10 yards or more.
He said he has 16 in this game. Now, 14 of he had 30 positive yards, but he's also been knocked a few times for negative plays that have cost him 14. A lot of that is sack yardage, which goes against the quarterback. Cameron to throw, blitz coming. Left side, incomplete. A flag that's thrown on Wilson again. Nick Edwards was the receiver. I can't imagine any scenario where Edwards catches that pass. But Wilson was in contact plenty of the way throughout that route.
He was tugging onto what appeared to be his shoulder pad as he ran down the field.
And I think they called it holding, which means
holding, yes.
The ball being catchable is irrelevant.
It was not.
And so the Highlands moving the ball again. They've got a first down. Spot at the 34-yard line up to Mook. And for the Cowboys, their longest drive in this game was 42 yards that ended with a punt in the first quarter. I formation. Play fake to Mosby. Going right side deep is Cameron. Coming back inside is McFadden. Could not make the catch as Crenshaw was in coverage.
Pass intended for number 15, DJ McFadden. Ball's incomplete. Brings up 2nd and 10.
Second down for Cameron. And Alston and Aguirre come back in, replacing Boyd and Mosby. 9:08 to play in the third quarter. Hogs holding a 9-point lead. Wilson and Brajon Crenshaw are the cornerbacks at the moment. Alston right side, heading for the edge, cuts back, and is toppled. The ball came out. It's picked up by Aguirre, running for the 20. Jason Aguirre is going to score. Boy, have you ever seen a weirder touchdown in your life? The fullback trailing the play, scoops up the fumble, and just blows through the defense for a touchdown.
Alston's misfortune, he's had a rough night running the football tonight, is all the gains for Aguirre.
It's the second touchdown for Aguirre. Alston got hit from behind by Valentine. The ball hit the ground, popped right up to Aguirre. And he just ran past a couple of Javelinas who were not expecting to see the fullback come up with the football. And he broke one diving tackle, I think, from Crenshaw. And then the only guys you have to outrun were defensive linemen. Aguirre did that with ease. And the 12 men in the huddle penalty makes this a little bit of an easier extra point for Israel Farfan. Snap gets down. Kick is good. With 8:56 to go in the third quarter, we got a pretty good football game here tonight. 26-24 is the lead for the Javelinas.
I'm trying to think back to the first half, Mark, and remind myself how many times you said, how many times have you seen that insert play here?
Because I hope it wasn't too many.
Oh, not well. We've seen a batted up. We've seen an interception stolen away from Posada of Texas A&M-Kingsville. Cameron's only interception of the night was batted up high in the air and picked off. We saw the touchdown run from Jeff Carr, weaving what it seemed like in and out of traffic. Looked like he was going to be behind the line, and then found his way down the sideline thanks to some blocking. And then this interesting fumble here with Alston and Aguirre picking up and taking it the rest of the way. Not a whole lot you can explain with football analysis for plays like that.
Aguirre picked up that fumble at about the 33 and was off to the races for the touchdown. The one play I am thinking back to that we might have said that about was the punt, where the punt hits Devin Milburn in the helmet.
That one too.
And
exactly.
Highlands falls on it for a first down to recover a fumble. Yeah, you don't been more than a few wonky plays on the night, but as I said, we got a pretty good football game here. 8:56 to go in the third quarter. It's 26-24. This looks like it might be the first team to get to 40 will win this contest. But yeah, a couple of plays that you just got to throw your hands up and go, I don't know how we defend that. I don't know how you tell your players, be prepared for a fumble that's going to go right to a player for their team who's then going to run for it. I don't know how you prepare for that. And here is Farfan kicking it off. Aaron Jackson is back in the game, so whatever injury he was suffering from earlier, he appears to be okay. Him and Jeff Carr will at least are supposed to receive this kick. We'll see if Farfan does another pooch kick. Farfan checking his coverage men and kicks it away. Down the middle of the field, Jackson will take it at the 4, drops it, picks it up, middle of the field to the 10, left side a block on the back, 15 to the 25, to the 20, to the 40, I should say. And there is no flag. The referee saying that block was shoulder to shoulder. And so another good return for Aaron Jackson. That looked pretty close to a block on the back from here. That was Roposada who threw it. But the referee was a lot closer to the play than we were. He said it was a good block. Another solid return from Jackson as he takes that one 37 yards.
It was also good to see Jackson running at what appeared to be full strength after walking off the field earlier this half.
Pistol formation, Detmer looking down the field, under pressure, steps up. He's going to run and dives to about the 44.
Denver on the scramble.
A gain of about 4 yards, 2nd down and 6. Jackson averaging 45 yards on 2 returns tonight, one for 53 earlier, and then that one for 37.
That was a good job by Detmer Jr. He had 3 Highlands players ready to eat him up.
Well, he's kept his eyes downfield in those situations to this point in the game, but that time just content to take the short gain and live to fight another down. Detmer, handoff, Carr getting swarmed in the backfield, breaking 1 tackle, but 4 or 5 white jerseys wrap him up. And 3rd down and long. And Highlands on defense seems intent not to let one of these hog running backs break a long run like we saw him do twice in the first half.
And when they've been able to do that, the Hogs have tried to sweep it around the right side of their offensive line and try and catch the edge. They've been able to do that on a couple of plays, which is curious to see why they've gone to the left side towards the Javelina sideline.
Well, obviously, you got to mix it up, keep the defense honest. Shotgun, Detmer down the middle, dropped by Donovan Moore. Moore had Willie Morris beat and might have been able to turn upfield and get the 1st down, but a frustrated receiver heading to the sideline as Kingsville will punt. And Detmer, the first man to greet Moore at the sideline. Give him a high five, I'm sure, pat him on the back. De La Garza to punt, averaging 40 yards, only 1 punt so far. A high, good kick. And that's going to bounce inside the 20. Bounces backwards a little bit, and the Javelina is quick to grab it. That was Jacob Armstrong who downs it at about the 16. Another punt down inside the 20. That's the 6th on the year that De La Garza's dropped in that area. And a curious decision by Elivario to let that fall, but it ended up not mattering. They got the ball, the Cowboys did, right about where Farfan would have had to catch it.
All right, fans, are you ready for
And
some pizza?
1st down and 10. At the 17, we have a 2-point game, 7:12 on the clock in quarter number 3. Highlands with 206 yards of total offense tonight. Cameron 11 of 23, but for only 88 yards, though he does have a couple touchdown passes. I formation, Alston dots the I. Alston just 30 yards on 10 carries. His longest run 9 yards to this point, as the crowd getting excited here at Javelina Stadium. Cameron play fake, wants it deep, down the middle. Pass knocked away by Devontae Williams. Zach Drew Tolles was the target, and Williams thinks he could have pulled that in for an interception, but as it is, incomplete, 2nd down.
He had the right idea there. Cameron was slow to get up, after he took a hit from one of the linemen from Texas A&M-Kingsville.
Yeah, they tried to draw the Javelinas in with that play fake, but Williams dropped back in a hurry. It was in a perfect spot to defense that pass. And players going in and out. DJ McFadden leaves the game. Sims and Taylor are the tackles on the defense, with Valentine and Jones still the ends. Cameron, another play fake. Under pressure, scrambles up in the pocket and gets back to about the line of scrimmage as Jalen Harrison and Brandon Jones wrap them up. Another third down for the Cowboys. They have converted only 2 of 9. Now, the Hogs have been credited with just 1 sack tonight. My memory seems to recall at least 3. But regardless, they have been able to get a rush on Danny Cameron tonight. Trips to the near side left, and now Highlands, with a few things out of whack, calls a timeout with 6 seconds on the play clock. And that's the first timeout for either team in this game. And Nate, to go back to what I was just saying, we said in pregame that the Hogs would have to get pressure to slow down this offense. They've done a good job of that so far. Danny Cameron has not looked comfortable in the pocket often tonight.
Hasn't looked too comfortable, but he's still getting throws away. And when you think about it, as he's able to, get throws away, he's essentially hoping that defensive backs from Texas A&M and Kingsville are either going to be tugging on the jersey, holding, and getting pass interference calls. And lucky for the New Mexico Highlands, they've been able to get some of those calls to help them advance their drives and get down the field. So I can't imagine the Cowboys going away from taking chances down the field.
Yeah, those penalties have probably mounted for as many yards as Cameron has. He's thrown for only 88 yards so far in this game. Three receivers for Cameron. 2 to the left, 1 man to the right. Low snap, but he scoops it fine. Pass left side for Jackson. Slips a tackle, but is thrown down to the 21. Nick stiff and make that Jamar Davis and Alec Lewis with the 2 players there to end Jackson's run after the catch. And 4th down. And a new punter back. This is not Rodriguez. This is Dylan Gassaway, who is deep to boot this. Gassaway does have 5 punts on the season, averaging 36 yards. Donovan Moore looking to redeem for his dropped pass back to receive it. Gassaway rolls left, line drive kick, bounces across midfield to the 45, and Moore no choice but to let it roll. 46-yard kick by Gassaway. That will be his longest of the season. And Coy Denver coming back out to start another drive for the Hogs. This has been a 2-point game ever since Jason Aguirre picked up a fumble and scampered 33 yards with it. It was a fumble by his own man, his running back, Dion Alston. But he turned it into a score. That was with 8:56 to go in the 3rd quarter. We're at 5:28 to go in that period now. Hoggies lead by 2. Pistol formation. Oglesby behind Detmer. He gets the handoff through the middle of the line. Almost broke free, but got to the 40.
That was a really good run from Oglesby. I think the first couple of games that, at least at home, that we've been able to see Josh get carries has been a little hesitant, and I think that's probably a part of him being a freshman, but a real confident carry on 1st down.
This coaching staff not afraid to put this freshman right out there on the field in big spots. Takes a handoff from Detmer, almost bobbled it, and picks up a couple. Tackled by Nick Locken. 3rd down and 3. Hogs in this game are 3 of 9 on 3rd downs. Detmer with 2 receivers to the left side. A single man all alone on the right. Detmer Jr. to throw, looking left and over the middle. Has Posada across the 45, gets to the 50. Is tackled at the 47. Another first down for Tamuk. 12-yard gain. And the Hogs want to go no huddle. That was their 11th first down of the night. Detmer left flat for Tyler Wilson. Cuts back inside, gets to the 45, the 44 where he's thrown back. Short gain for the Hogs.
That was very nearly an offside. Highlands wasn't all the way back to the line of scrimmage, or the new line of scrimmage. I think number 38 from New Mexico Highlands still had his back towards the Javelina offense when they snapped the ball.
And that was a throw to Dilworth. Check that, not Tyler Wilson. Dilworth goes out. Wilson's still on, as is Rokeem Paul. Rolling, now throwing left for Williams is Detmer. Williams bobbles it and then is tackled immediately. Williams had to fight to get his hands on it, and Thomas Langtree was there quickly to end the play. Another third down, 3rd and 9. Kingsville needs the 36. Detmer is over 200 yards passing for the first time since the first game of the season against Commerce. He's at 208 right now. Takes a shotgun snap. Blitz picked up down the middle. Caught. Torrey Thomas. Ball comes loose. It goes right to a Highlands player. The officials are now going to say incomplete as Thomas picks up the Highlands player and drops him at the 26. Thomas, no doubt, more than a little frustrated in his inability to hold on to the football. It'll be 4th down. And that was close, but looked like a good call for an incompletion. And Thomas is lucky he didn't get called for a late hit after the play. Fourth down, De La Garza looking to drop one deep, as Diego Elabarrio will receive this punt. Highlands only rushes 4. De La Garza high, trying to coffin corner this kick. He bounces the 15, inside the 10, rolling inside the 5. Did it get down at the 1? It did. Brilliant special teams for the Javelinas, and Julio De La Garza with a textbook punt. And Highlands will begin this drive inside its own 1.
Credit the Javelinas that this is the second week in a row they've been able to down a punt at the opponent's 1-yard line.
Last time they ended up with the football. And also give credit where credit is due. On the last play, that was C.J. Waite who knocked the ball away from Torrey Thomas. And there were a bunch of Javelinas ready to down that punt. Kason Franklin was one of them. Alan Smith was there as well. 1st and 10, a sneak. Diving ahead and still going. Still running across the 15 to the 19-yard line is Danny Cameron. And now the flag gets thrown. They might get Tamuk for a late hit. Cameron snuck ahead, but he wasn't diving. He kept his feet and kept rolling through the line. Like most of the players had stopped playing. And Cameron was still running. He got to the 19. There might be 15 yards on the end of this. This could be about a 35-yard play.
Sideline interference with contact against the Kingsville sideline. 15-yard penalty. First down.
And I think that's Haskell Buff, as they call the Hogs for sideline interference, who might have been on the white part of the sideline, which is where you're not supposed to be.
Cameron could have gotten more yardage had he not run into a referee as well.
Sean Landez on the tackle that play. Now all of a sudden Highlands at their own 35. Right side goes Alston. Breaks the tackle, gets to the 40, to the 41-yard line before he's wrapped up. That's 6 yards. 2 minutes to go in the third quarter. The Hogs lead by 2. That lead becoming more and more precarious with every yard Highlands gains on this drive. And it's taken 2 plays for the Cowboys to go from their own 1 to their own 41. Play fake. Cameron wants deep. Has a man open. That's Henderson. Caught at the 40. Knocked out of bounds by Jordan Seminot. At about the 30. And the Highlands has really gone for a high-risk, high-reward passing game. It seems like every pass play has been a play-action deep ball. And that one, Henderson with the grab.
And even with Seminot back in the football game, they know he's a little bit wounded, and they're still going at him.
Was the third catch of the night for Henderson. I formation, Kamari Mosby in at halfback. 2 receivers left with McFadden split wide. Mosby gets the handoff, gets back to about the line of scrimmage. No gain, 2nd and 10. Henderson up to 60 yards on 3 catches. Cameron now 13 to 25 for 120 yards. And this may be the last play of the third quarter coming up. Alston again is the running back. Drew Tolles and DJ McFadden are the receivers. Kingsville in press coverage on both sides. Cameron wants to go deep. Deep on the right side. Over Wilson. Pass incomplete. And there's a flag thrown.
That's a good call. That looked catchable.
That's at least the 2nd penalty against Wilson tonight, who has seen more action this evening than probably all season. And tough to see. They called 19. I'm pretty sure that was 8, Wilson. And on the replay, it did look like he just thought he was beaten and wanted to do something to prevent the touchdown. And Wilson now comes out. Rajon Crenshaw sent back in. And Highlands 15 yards away from a go-ahead touchdown. 20 seconds to go in the quarter. Cameron, hand off Alston right through the middle. Runs into a pair of Javelinas. Devontae Williams makes the tackle at the 14. Gain of about a yard.
I don't know if you saw this, Mark, but it looked like Cameron rose up over center and appeared to call a timeout, but he didn't call a timeout. And a couple of linemen from Texas A&M-Kingsville raised their head up, and then that's when they snapped the football.
Third quarter is over here at Javelina Stadium. And don't go away. We got a pretty good football game on our hands. 15 minutes to go. 26-24, the Javelinas lead. We'll be back in 30 seconds on the Javelina Sports Network. Second down and 8 as we begin the fourth quarter of play. New Mexico Highlands trailing Texas A&M-Kingsville 26-24. Kingsville 8 yards away from 400 total on offense tonight. Cameron Gives to Mosby, running right side, runs into some defenders, but it gets around the corner inside the 5. Is Horsecollar down inside the 5. Mosby looked like he was going to get tackled in the backfield, but got around a few defenders. And this will be first and goal at probably at about the 1 for Highlands. 14:54 to go here in the 4th. And now Horsecollar, a face mask instead against Jalen Harrison. Football spotted at about the 1.5. Mosby, halfback in the I formation, 2 tight ends in for Highlands. Cameron gives to Mosby right into the center of the line, across the goal line. Touchdown, Cowboys.
Touchdown, Cowboys.
It's a
So
wonder
Highlands,
why.
without a doubt, sorry, Nate, without a doubt, their most impressive drive to date. They go 99 yards for the touchdown as Mosby finishes it with a 1-yard touchdown plunge. And the Cowboys now are about to go ahead probably by 5. Or they're going to try for 2 to make this a 6-point game with 14:31 on the clock. Hogs want to keep this at 4 for obvious reasons. Then if they score a touchdown, they'll be up by 3. And a timeout called by Highlands. And that's not going to make any coach happy. It's one of the assistants standing on the sideline. I think it's Matt Clark with his hands outstretched as if to say, why aren't you guys on the field? And he's berating a couple of the receivers, DJ McFadden and Zach Drew Tolles, who I think were unprepared for a 2-point try. And now they're ready to head back out on the field. But that's 2 timeouts now wasted by Highlands, and that's not going to make any coach happy. Those timeouts are so precious. You only get 3 of them. Now they're down to just 1.
With 14.5 minutes to go. You know, with New Mexico Highlands, you know, coming into tonight's game, Kamari Mosby was the 3rd leading rusher on the Cowboy roster, and tonight he's got 5 carries and he's averaging better than 8 yards per touch. So it's a wonder that he hasn't been able to get the football more in this game.
Highlands running much like the Javelinas do, a running back by committee, although we have not seen the 3rd member of that committee, Desmond Scott, tonight. But Mosby and Olsen have been the 2 featured backs. And also Danny Cameron came into tonight with negative 30 rushing yards to his name. He has 34, or make that 36 tonight. Cameron shotgun, 3 receivers right. Looking for Alston in the flat. Alston cannot make the catch as Brajon Crenshaw got there just in time to disrupt that pass attempt. That was a pretty simple play design. It's, hey, let's send Alston in motion, have him simply run a route to the goal line and throw him the football, but the ball took a little bit too long to get there. 2-point conversion is no good. 14:31 to go in the 4th quarter. New Mexico Highlands with a 30-26 lead here over the Javelinas at Javelina Stadium. They go 99 yards on 7 plays in 3 minutes and 9 seconds. And Nate, now we've seen both teams start drives or have drives where they go from deep in their own territory and convert it into points. The Javelinas had it on the drive that started with Detmer's completion to Dilworth for 64 yards. They got 3 points out of that. Now Highlands goes the entire length of the football field.
They were able to have this really long drive, aided by penalties. The last couple of minutes of that 2nd quarter have sort of crept into the end of the 3rd and the beginning of the 4th for Kingsville.
And you wonder if how much of a toll that kind of a drive takes on a defense. You give up that many yards, take that many hits. Hogs offense would be wise to get their defense some time to rest. Farfan, another pooch kick, middle of the field. Jeff Carr takes it to the 20 on the left sideline. 25 to the 30, weaving his way to the 31. Met there by Jaron Manning and Dylan Gassaway. And the Javelina offense left to hold serve as they now trail by 4. This is the first time the Hogs have been behind in this game since it was 3-0. Detmer looking to build on what's been a pretty productive day. Nick Pellerin in the backfield looking to do the same. He's got 74 yards, and he takes a carry right side. Turns up the sideline, but can only get back to the line of scrimmage. Detmer 13 of 22 for 208, a touchdown and an interception. Posada leads the team in catches. He has 6. Matter of fact, that is a game high. No other player with more than 3. Milburn, 3 catches for 83 yards and a 48-yard touchdown. Detmer takes a shotgun snap, play fake, right flat for Posada. Another catch for Posada, cuts back inside to get to the 35, dives ahead to the 37. A 6-yard run will make this a 3rd down and manageable. This is something else we didn't see last week. A lot of these 3rd downs were 3rd and long. 3rd downs tonight, a lot of them have been 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5. And you don't need John Madden to tell you that makes it a lot easier on your offense. Make that 12th 3rd down of the night for Chinook. Detmer, right side, Posada wide open, caught, gets drilled out of bounds, but he has a 1st down. C.J. Waite ended that play, but the Javelinas moved the chains again. That's 1st down number 13. Highlands with 21 1st downs to Chinook's 13, but the Hogs with 398 yards. Total offense, Highlands with 277. Posada had 6 catches coming into tonight. He had 7 this evening. Snap to Pellerin on the Wildcat right side. Gets dragged down, I believe, by the horse collar. 2 flags are thrown. This should be 15 yards for the Javelinas. You'd say 15 free yards, but for Pellerin, there's nothing free about these yards when you get tackled by your collar. There might be 2 flags on that. One looked like it might have been thrown before the horse collar took place. Nope. My mistake, was another face mask. So both teams gaining assistance on offense from some penalties. And the Hogs are officially over 400 yards. Posada's previous career high was against Commerce last year. He had 5 receptions, so he has surpassed that. He's got 8 now. Detmer to throw. Looks like he wants to go deep. Now gets sacked. The ball came out. The Hogs fall on it at midfield. That's going to cost them 7 yards, but they do keep possession. Justin Johnson was able to dive on the loose football. And Detmer had time. The pocket just eventually collapsed around him.
2nd down and 17.
And I believe it was Langtree who got the sack. 2nd and 17. Pellerin, Dilworth, and Martinez are the receivers left side. Donovan Moore is on the right side. Empty backfield for Detmer. Pressure coming. Rolls right. Pass incomplete. And the rush got in almost immediately on the quarterback. Detmer just lucky to escape with an incompletion and not a sack. 3rd and long. And we'll see how aggressively, Nate, the Hogs play this. Because a lot of teams like to go conservative. They don't want to put their quarterback in a position where he tries to do too much and throws a pick. But the Hogs, they converted a 3rd and 25 earlier. They're not afraid to take chances on lengthy 3rd downs. 4 receivers, pistol, players coming on and off for Highlands. And now both teams are set. Snap to Detmer. Looking down the middle for Martinez, over his head, incomplete. Off his fingertips, and Martinez took a pretty big hit, but he's back on his feet and heading to the sideline. 4th down. And De La Garza will try and work his magic again. Elabari with just one punt return tonight. He probably won't get a chance to return this one. Rush being shown by Highlands. Here they come. The Garza, though, plenty of time to get it off. A high kick, dropping inside the 10, rolling inside the 5. Hogs let it roll, and they down it inside the 5. And racing in was Deadrick Holloway to capture that football. So the Hogs almost saying to the Cowboys, all right, you drove the length of the field once, do it again. And just as importantly, though, a chance for this defense to get a stop and provide good field position for the offense. 11:29 to play. We are in the fourth quarter. 30-26 is the score. The Cowboys with a 4-point lead. Nick Stiff coming on. Aaron Jackson goes off for Tamuk. Cameron with two fullbacks in the backfield, Boyd and Aguirre. And he pushes ahead again. The sneak now slips through a tackle. Still fighting across the 10. Gets near the 13. Jordan Seminot getting into it with DJ McFadden away from the play. That's another successful just quarterback sneak by Cameron.
It's almost like Cameron is like the toothpaste coming out of the tube. You don't
roll up the tube on the toothpaste.
Yeah.
I was thinking more of a game that took place in South Bend about 10 or 12 years ago. Similar situation, a lot of pushing and shoving going on in the middle of the line. As it is at 2nd and 2. Handoff Olsen, little shoulder shake in the backfield. Manages to get to the 15 for a first down. Second time that Highlands has quickly gotten out of terrible field position. Ball now to the 16-yard line. 10:38 to go. And Highlands' ideal finish to this drive, or outcome for this drive, would be a touchdown drive that just milks this clock. They'd love to get the clock down to about 4 minutes, score a touchdown, and seal this win. Highlands with other ideas on defense. Back to throw. Cameron, he wants a deep ball for Drew Tolles. Into coverage, incomplete, right through the hands of Jordan Seminot. I don't know what Cameron was looking at. It's almost as if he threw that ball to say, oh, what the heck, I'll just throw it. There was nothing but blue jerseys there. Tolles had zero space.
It looked like three Javelinas in addition to Seminot could have made that interception there. But I think for this Javelina defense, they haven't really been able to get much pressure on Cameron. And when we think about those back-to-back plays earlier in this game where Cameron was sacked, you know, this seems like an eternity ago.
Offset I formation. Olsen, the deep setback. A counter play to him. Devontae Williams into the backfield immediately. Tackles him for a loss. That's a loss of about 4 yards. Highlands has run that misdirection counter a few times tonight. And that time, the Javelinas were all over it. For Williams, that's 6 tackles for loss for him on the season. He came into this game among the top 15 in the conference in that category. He adds one more there. 3rd and 13. Haas getting organized on defense. Snap to Cameron. Blitz coming. Deep ball. Left side trying to find McFadden. Caught up past the 40 out of bounds with a first down. McFadden beat Aaron Jackson, and Danny Cameron laid it in there perfectly.
First down, Cowboys.
From the 13 to the 46, a gain of 33. And going back to the point you mentioned about the pressure this team is getting, this is almost a little bit of a reminder of going back to the Commerce game, because that Commerce game started out with the Haas getting pressure constantly on the quarterback. By the time the 3rd and 4th quarter rolled around, they weren't getting that pressure anymore. And that gave Preston Wheeler a lot more time to find open receivers. This is a little bit of a callback to that first game. Handoff Alston, trying to get her on the right side, cuts upfield, gets back to the line of scrimmage. And Jordan Seminot now getting into it with Lewis Webb. Seminot has been getting vocal, no doubt, with a few of these Highlands receivers. 2nd and 10. And even if Highlands runs 2 more plays and punts, just them flipping field position is such a huge factor in this game. Instead of Tamuk having to go maybe 55 yards, so he'll have to go closer to 80 yards. Shotgun Cameron. Left side handoff Mosby. Pushes through the line for about 3 and more extracurricular activities. That's Tarini Tosi. And Tosi just did kind of a ragdoll move. He was sitting on top of Vaughn Taylor after the play, and Taylor, because he's a human being, said, hey, I want to get up, and pushed Osi off of him. And Osi just fell to the side like he'd been shot. But luckily the officials, with no flag being thrown.
And nobody was shot as well.
More in the grand scheme of things, probably more important.
Sure.
But that's the second time Osi's gotten into it with a Javelina player after the play. We saw him have a mix-up with Alec Lewis earlier in this game. 3rd and 7. Cameron to pass. Here comes a blitz. Over the middle, incomplete. There should be a flag. But there was none. It looked like Aaron Jackson just totally grabbed Zach Drew Tolles and dragged him to the ground. We look at the replay, and it sure looked the same there, but the linesman was right there and didn't throw a flag. And Dylan Gasaway will boot it. A chance to return maybe for Donovan Moore. Moore has just one return for 3 yards, but in past weeks we've seen him be on the verge of breaking a long punt return. And the Hogs would love to get that right here. As Gasaway rolls left side, he's going to run. He's across the 45. I think he has a first down. And he does. There is a flag thrown. This might be a hold.
Holding. Offense. Number 41.
And that will throw a big old bucket of cold water on Highlands enthusiasm. They thought they had a first down on the fake punt.
From the spot of the foul.
I think that was David McGee, 41, they called for the hold. And I think that was just a simple option for Gasaway where it's a punt, but he has the option to run it if the Hogs don't get anyone over there to defend it. He saw daylight, he ran. He picked up a first down, but it all got erased because of the hold. Now Moore with maybe a little bit more breathing room. Hogs rushing it. They don't send too many people back for the return. Moore calls for a fair catch. Drops the football. Aaron Jackson a chance to fall on it, but I think Highlands got it. The pile-up's at about the 25. I think this is Highlands football. Nope, the Javelinas got on top of it. Aaron Jackson must have found a way. And boy, where would this team be without Aaron Jackson tonight? That's the second muffed punt for the Javelinas tonight. And Moore just simply had this one look like bounce off of his shoulder pads. And boy, are the Javelinas lucky that they still have possession. 7:10 to go. They are 75 yards away from where they need this drive to finish, trailing by 4. They have all 3 timeouts. Obviously, time is not a factor right now, but they still have all 3 of those in their back pocket. Pitch right for Carr. Right sideline 25 to the 30 and skitters out of bounds after a gain of about 5.
On the right side, out of bounds. At the 31-yard line. Second down, Javelina.
And that running game that the Javelinas used so effectively in the first half has not been as effective here in half number 2. They had 176 yards on the ground at halftime. As of right now, they only have 177. Fake pitch to Carr. Bootleg left for Detmer. In trouble. He's going to get sacked. Naked boot. And it did not fool Cameron Forziati. He was right there to drop Detmer, and now the Hogs will have a 3rd and 15. And since halftime, Nick Pellerin has negative 6 yards rushing. Jeff Carr, by my count, has 0. Shotgun for Detmer. Pressure coming again. Deep ball. Left side. Going for Dilworth. Caught it across midfield. There's a flag that gets thrown.
On the reception, number 80, Aaron Dilworth. Flag on the play.
We'll check the marker.
Pass interference. Defense, number 37. Flag.
And there was pass interference against Forziati. So one good play from the defensive back and one bad play The Hogs pick up 35. And Coy Detmer Jr. is closing in on a 300-yard evening. 1st and 10, under 6 minutes to play. Detmer to throw again. Looking for Dilworth, incomplete, overthrew him. Detmer up to 253. Aaron Dilworth now with 2 catches for 98 yards. That's a pretty good 49-yard average tonight for number 80. Second and 10. Kingsville looking for a go-ahead touchdown. Jacob Armstrong in motion. They give it to him on the jet sweep. Needs a block. Cuts upfield to the 44-yard line. Then Justin Johnson grabs him and pulls him for an extra yard. About a 2-yard run for Armstrong. His first rush of the season. 3rd and 8.
Now the Javelina offense has been accustomed to 3rd and 3s and 3rd and 4s tonight, and they usually look for Posada in this instance. They might try and look in his direction again here.
Last couple possessions for the Javelinas have stalled right around this point. They gave up the ball at the Highlands 50 and then the 45. Detmer, pressure coming. Over the middle, caught by Ryan Martinez. Slips a tackle, goes down to 30. He still has a first down. A gain of 13 on 3rd and 10.
Ryan Martinez on the coverage for the Cowboys, 21, TJ Jackson. First down, Javelina.
His 3rd catch of the season. And Detmer utilizing a slew of different wide receivers tonight. 6 different Chinook players have caught at least 1 pass, and now Darren Wilkinson wants a timeout. And that's a costly use of a timeout for the Javelinas. They're obviously now down to 2. 4.5 minutes to go. So even if the Hogs get this touchdown that they want right here, they're going to have to get a stop on defense. Regardless, this defense is going to get thrown out there one more time with their job being, hey, we need you to get a stop. It's either going to be with their team down 4 and needing the ball back, or up 2 or 3 needing a stop for the victory. But Detmer, really a great night. The 1 interception, like we said before, kind of a fluky play. But other than that, 17 of 29 for 266. 1 touchdown. Has hit his receivers on a number of deep throws. And has converted a few pretty big 3rd downs this evening.
Leading receiver for the Javelinas. He has a couple of touchdowns on the season. You know, we've been searching for what it seems like 4 3/4 of the season. Who is that number 1 receiver? It has to be Aaron Dilworth.
2 of the biggest plays of this night for the Hogs. The biggest thing that the Blue and Gold will have to clean up after this game is penalties. 13 flags thrown against them for 108 yards, and they've also had a few penalties declined as well. Offset eye, Jeff Carr is the deep man. Detmer to throw. Looking right side. Single coverage throwing. End zone for Donovan Moore. Touchdown! Donovan Moore caught it over TJ Jackson in the end zone. Or make that Willie Morris. And the Javelinas jump in front.
The focus, the concentration of Carr to make that catch as he was falling down, the adjustments he had to make, a perfect pass, an even better catch.
A 30-yard hookup. Moore's first touchdown and his longest catch of the season, and now an enormous extra point for the Javelinas. Got to have that 3-point lead. Good snap. Rossellini gets it down. Extra point is up and good. 4:23 to go in the 4th quarter. The Javelinas 33, the Cowboys 30. And a great over-the-shoulder catch from Moore. Really almost full extension. Caught that ball as it came over his shoulder just in front of the back pylon on the right side. And Detmer might not make it to 300 yards tonight. He is 4 yards short. He's at 296. Couple touchdowns 2 TD passes to a couple of different receivers. Moore and Milburn catching their first touchdown passes of the season tonight. And this is the type of offensive performance that these fans and this coaching staff have been waiting to see each of the last 2 weeks. Their offense has been outstanding tonight.
The passing of Detmer Jr. has been fairly consistent throughout the night. We might not see the running backs, but as well as they played in the first half, you'd still like to see some improvement from Carr and Pellerin the rest of this game, if they get the ball back.
If they do get the ball back, it will be on Carr and Pellerin, no doubt, to run out this clock. Jackson and Henderson back to receive. This will be Henderson on the near side right, catching it at the 5. Along the hash marks to the 15, the 20. Almost got through a hole, but was upended by Tremichael Tutt. He might have been the only guy standing between. And now a flag gets thrown late, and the Hogs are incredulous. I think it's on the Javelinas. Tutt, I think, was the only player standing between Henderson and a long return. And we'll check the flag. Boy, what an enormous penalty this would be. And they wave it off. So a huge sigh of relief breathed by the Javelina fans. The 30-yard line is where Highlands will start. They only need a field goal to tie up this game. But with 4:18 to go, they have plenty of time. The Hogs will have to force them to settle for a field goal try if the Cowboys get close enough. Shotgun 3 receivers. Back to pass Cameron. Blitz coming deep down the middle over the head of Elabario. And now a late flag comes in as Brandon Jones was walking past the official. What would this be? Unsportsmanlike conduct?
Unnecessary roughness. Defense, number 94. 15 yards in previous spot. Automatic first down.
That was the latest unnecessary roughness call I've ever seen. The play was over. The players were walking back to the huddle, and they threw the flag.
They got Sean Sims on it.
And no way we can see this on the replay. But it's a first down to the 42. Cameron looking to pass. Pressure coming. Pass left sideline caught. Close to a first down is DJ McFadden. And that will move the chains. And this is where having depth on the defensive line is really important. Caleb Valentine hustling to get back on sides. The Cowboys want to snap the football. Valentine does get back on sides. Pass left side, incomplete. Great diving play by Landaz as he got his hand in front of Henderson and denied that completion. And this is where you need depth on the defensive line. Your linemen are going to be tired. You need other guys who can come in and still provide an effective pass rush. Jamar Davis, Vaughn Taylor, Sean Sims, and Brandon Jones on the D-line. Cameron, hand out to Alston, makes him a miss in the backfield, gets to the 46 and maybe gets another yard. Run for 2 yards, 3rd and 8. And the Hogs want to force Marty Fine and Matt Clark into a tough decision of, do we go for it on 4th and 8? They got to get a stop here on 3rd and 8 first. Shotgun 3 receivers. Low snap, but Cameron scoops it up. Down the middle for Elabario, knocked away by Landez. Consecutive outstanding plays by the senior safety from Mission, Texas. 4th down. And now Highlands has to decide with 3:25 to go and 1 timeout if they go for this. I feel like if you had 3 timeouts, you'd punt it, but with 1, I think you got to go for this.
Without a doubt.
Holding. Offense, number 67. Penalty decline. It's up to play for 4th down.
Hogs decline the hold on Brett Basler. And Landis is down in the secondary. Now he gets back up. That was a worrying sight for a moment. 4th and 8 at the 45. Hogs looking for a stop. Fans coming to their feet here at Javelina Stadium. Same formation. Cameron gets the snap. Dropping way back. Throws it down the middle. Pass is incomplete. Trying to find Henderson. The pass was tipped, and then the hit was applied. Turnover on downs.
Fans, Javelina volleyball season is underway. You can get your tickets at JavelinaAthletic.com.
Big hit.
The next match will be
Delivered by Devontae Williams.
on Tuesday, October.
And that ended the last chance Henderson had to gather in that pass. The Hogs probably need 2 first downs, or maybe even just 1, to run out this clock. We'll see how aggressive they are. If it's me, I'm just running the ball. First 2 downs, or at least first down's got to be a run for sure. You got to make Highlands use that timeout or let the clock run. Handoff Carr, left side, turns the corner 45 to the 50. And now, but a flag is thrown. And it appears a penalty will be called on Tyler Wilson.
127.
Offense, number 88. 10 yards from the corner foul. Makes first down.
That's the 15th penalty on Texas A&M-Kingsville, which amounts to, since that was a hold, 133 yards.
And on the replay, absolutely a hold by Wilson. He doesn't have an argument on that play. The referee has to call it, or he wouldn't be doing his job. 1st and 17 from the 38. The clock is running, so there's that at least. Detmer gives it to Carr. Through the middle is met immediately, no gain. Trey Haynes was right there to stop him. Highlands has no choice but to let the clock run. They only have 1 timeout. You really can't criticize a coach because you have 1. When do you use it? 2nd down. As it is, Highlands will not get the ball back with more than 90 seconds remaining, I don't think. And Detmer content. Just stand and wait. He watched his dad do it in the NFL for years and probably in college too. No need to snap the ball before you have to. Play clock down to 5. Game clock at 2:10. There's the snap. Give to Carr right side. Carr through the line to the 40. Almost got free, but was corralled at the 45. And there goes Highlands' only remaining timeout. Nate, we talked about how beneficial it is to save those. How much it hurts if you're a head coach to have to use those early. Highlands used 1 on offense early in the 3rd quarter. They used another one right before their 2-point conversion attempt that they did not convert on. And now with just 1 left, they use it right there with 2:03 to go. So I'm curious as to what your thoughts are. If this is me, I'm running the ball 100 times out of 100. Run it. Let the clock run. Make them go, say, 80 yards for the, or let's say 60 yards for the game-tying field goal. What do you think?
I think that's the right move, and considering the way that Julio De La Garza has punted tonight compared to how he may have started the season, he's been very, very strong pinning the football inside the 5-yard line on a couple of different opportunities.
Because obviously, if you run the ball here, you're probably not going to get the first down. It's 3rd and 10. If you throw it, it gives yourself a better shot, but then you're taking a risk of giving them 40 seconds. And also, one other thing you have to consider when you're whether it's being aggressive or conservative, this is a punt team that's been in top form tonight. We've not had any issues like this team had in the last 2 weeks, or really even going back to the Wesleyan game, I should say, when they snapped the ball over De La Garza's head. Do you have enough faith in this punt team that you're willing to play it conservative, run it, and then put them out there and trust that they won't make a mistake like they have the past couple games?
If I were Coach Wilkinson, I would have the same confidence, but I want to quickly go back to that holding call. We're currently at a 3rd and 10. That's the difference now between that run being a first down and moving the chains and a 3rd down and 10, which is where Kingsville finds themselves right now.
Well, yes, but they also ran the clock after that hold, so there's less time on the clock right now than there would be even if it was third down without that holding call. Fake pitch, Detmer to throw, should take the sack, and he does. Sacked at the 38. Detmer did not take a sack in a similar situation against Commerce in game 1. They basically ran the same play, a rollout, where the defender sniffed it out and was on the quarterback. He threw it, got intercepted. Commerce got the ball in good field position and tied the game. That time takes the sack, the wise thing to do, lets the clock run. And if I am Darren Wilkinson, they still got 20 seconds on the play clock. I'm just running this down to 1 and calling my timeout. I don't want to trust my snapper or my punt team not to get skittish. I'm saying, hey, don't snap it. Don't snap it. I'm going to call a timeout. Play clock is at 8. Hogs are not at their set positions. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And there's the timeout from Wilkinson at 1:14.
Timeout.
So
Second charge timeout.
they kind of tried to have their cake and eat it too there. They went with a pass play, but the Cowboys were on top of it. But Detmer took the sack, and then the Hogs ran the clock all the way down, called their timeout. They keep the 5 yards they would have lost otherwise, and now they're punting with 1:14 to go.
Yeah, I think the worst case scenario there is if Detmer's throwing the football, especially with a bunch of guys running at him, because a throw, if it's incomplete, the clock doesn't stop instead of taking the sack and letting that clock run some more.
In a situation like that where you have pressure and you throw the ball, really only bad things can happen, either an incompletion or an interception. Both of those are kind of worst case scenario right now. Now with this punt, which is probably going to drain 10 seconds, if the Hogs can cover it well, you really put Highlands in a tough spot, even just needing a field goal. Highlands showing a block look. A little bit of a low snap. De La Garza grabs it, gets the punt off quickly. Left side, a short kick that rolls and rolls inside the 30 to the 25. Elabario almost picked it up and then gets tossed around as the ball rolls to the 18. 1:01 to go. That play took 13 seconds. De La Garza got a bounce from the heavens. And Elabario being asked, probably by his head coach as he comes to the sideline, what do you even get in the way of that ball for? If it hits you accidentally and they fall out, the game's over. At their own 18.
I think the target
is where Highlands will start, and I think you're going to say the target line's probably, I would guess, about the 30.
Just about, yep.
But obviously, if it's possible, they're going to want to get closer. Players coming on and off of the Hogs. Now Cameron to throw. Down the middle, dropped. Dropped by Devin Henderson, who probably had 10 more yards from the 35 if he caught it. And he'll be seeing that in his sleep. If the Cowboys don't get in field goal range, the clock is at 57. He probably had it closer to 5 yards if he caught it, but that would have been a big start to this drive.
He was heading
Cameron
towards the
back to throw. Here comes a blitz. Rolling right under pressure, throws incomplete. Austin wants a flag, and he might have a case against Jalen Harrison. But it's 3rd down and 10. 51 seconds to go. Hogs have been collapsing the pocket those last 2 plays. Cameron has not been able to sit back and choose his receiver. 3rd and 10. Hogs still getting organized in the D-line. Now they're set. Back to pass Cameron. Left side. Caught by Drew Tolles. I think he's short of the marker, though. This will make it about a 4th and 2. That would have been a good play on 1st down or 2nd down. On 3rd down, obviously it makes 4th down easier, but it still leaves you a little bit nervous. 3 receivers, McFadden and Henderson to the left. Drew Tolles right by himself. 2 men in the backfield. Hogs showing a blitz. They bring 4. Cameron, left side, through the hands of Henderson, incomplete. And that'll do it. Hogs just need to come on, take a knee once or twice, and then get out of here with a well-earned victory. That's the 2nd pass Henderson has had go through his hands on that series. And Henderson getting a few pats on the back as he comes to the sideline. No doubt a frustrated football player.
2 drops on that drive. He had 2 other drops earlier in this football game. And the big thing about this particular drop from Henderson is that he was in stride and going towards the sideline. He could have had the clock stop had he went out of bounds and made that catch.
And Lewis Webb on the sideline trying to cheer up his teammate. as Henderson, I'm sure, is not going to feel great on the ride home. You hate that for an athlete, but the Javelinas are going to go home happy for the first time in 3 weeks. And no doubt, Coach Darren Wilkinson is running off across the field to exchange handshakes with Marty Fine. Will enjoy this one. It's been a tough last 2 weeks. But Wilkinson and the Hogs get out of this one tonight with a victory. The clock runs out. The final score in this one, the Javelinas 33, the Cowboys 30. And we're going to take a quick break. Be right back with the post-game show. We'll wrap everything up. We'll let you know what's coming up next for the Javelinas, and we'll finish it all up here on the Javelina Sports Network in a moment. Don't go away. A 3-point win for the Javelinas. Here at home, they go to 2-1 at home. They are 2-3 on the season. New Mexico Highlands with an identical 2-3 record. As the Hogs shake off some of the bad feelings of the last 2 weeks, pick up a dramatic, hard-fought, well-earned victory this evening over the New Mexico Highlands Cowboys. Back with you, Mark and Sarah, alongside my color man, Nate Cortiso. And Nate, really a fantastic football game tonight. Anyone who came to this game really had the chance to enjoy some outstanding college football tonight. But a huge win for the Hogs. A great clutch drive led by Coy Detmer Jr., who finishes it with a touchdown pass by Donovan Moore. The defense comes up with a stop late in this game. They come up with 2 stops late in this game to hold on to that 3-point win. Like it really feels like it could be an uplifting performance all around for this team, trying to build on that momentum as the season moves forward.
It was a great game for the fans to see, and part of the reason it was a great game because you had 2 teams, losers of their last 2, with New Mexico Highlands, in addition to Texas A&M-Kingsville. You had 2 desperate teams, and when you have desperate teams desperate for victory, they'll look and do just about anything. And that's why I think we saw more aggressive play calling on the offensive side of the football with Texas A&M-Kingsville, and certainly New Mexico Highlands didn't go away either. But, you know, at the end of the day, Texas A&M-Kingsville has the victory. This is a major, major, major win, and for the rest of non-district or non-conference play coming up next week.
We talked in the pregame how we were looking for Coy Detmer Jr. to get back to the guy that we saw him play like the first week of the season against Commerce. Hadn't thrown for 200 yards in the games since then. Tonight comes out, throws for nearly 300 yards. Throws a couple of touchdowns, including the game winner to Donovan Moore, and really took some chances in the deep passing game in this game and was on point for the most part all night. Looked like a quarterback that this team can build around and is going to continue allowing to take those chances as the season goes on.
And the only reason he was able to make those chances is because he had a line that was protecting him up front. And, you know, as we mentioned earlier in our pregame show, New Mexico Highlands has struggled getting to the quarterback. That's obviously part of that equation, but at the same time, the Javelina's offensive line has to protect their quarterback no matter how good or bad their opposition might be, and they definitely gave Detmer Jr. plenty of time to throw.
Jeff Carr with his second 100-yard rushing game in the Javelina uniform, 101 yards and a touchdown. The Hogs ran the ball in this game for 176 yards. Not a lot of rushing after the first half, but the Hogs, for the most part, able to establish the running game. The running game got them the early lead that they were able to build on as this game went on. This team, that's a performance on the ground they should be able to build on as the season continues.
Yeah, and this was a team in New Mexico Highlands, the Cowboys, they don't necessarily stop the run very well. So the fact that you were able to establish that early on, and I know that was something they tried to do last week against Eastern New Mexico and weren't able to take it 4 quarters. But for Texas A&M-Kingsville to do so with, I believe it was Pelrin, I think Pelrin and Carr combined for nearly 200 yards rushing in the first half. That was huge because I know as that game last week was a 14-14 tie, it was a big reason, or at least the running game was a big reason why Kingsville was able to stay ahead for as long as they did.
Hogs also just one conversion shy of 50% on third down, 7 of 16. Receiving core, we talked about somebody to step up in the receiving game. Posada with 8 catches in this game. Devin Milburn, 3 big catches for 83 yards. Aaron Dilworth just 2 yards shy of 100. 2 grabs for 98 yards. And obviously Donovan Moore with the big touchdown catch. It feels like these receivers are starting to step up, pick up some of the slack that Ty Chisholm left behind when he got hurt. And I think that as the season goes on, Detmer's starting to feel more and more comfortable with the guys he has to choose from in the receiving game. On defense for the Hogs, not an ideal performance, but I think they did better than what we'd seen last week against Eastern New Mexico. More pressure on the quarterback. They did a good job of making Cameron uncomfortable. Cameron completed just 16 to 26 passes for 171, only credited with 1 sack for the Hogs. But even on that last drive, we saw them getting pressure, collapsing the pocket, putting the quarterback in uncomfortable situations. I thought the defense took some steps in the right direction this evening.
Jones, Sims, Valentine. Valentine, of course, towards the end of the game was gasping for breath because he usually plays most of, if not all, of the game. But that D-line really dominated the line of scrimmage, not just keeping Cameron off balance, but also the leading rusher for New Mexico Highlands in Alston. He averaged coming in around 115 yards per game, and the defense held him to only 44, and he was 41 yards net, and he was the 3rd leading rusher on his team tonight.
And also, you look at the secondary: 9 pass breakups for the Javelina secondary tonight. 2 each for Sean Landez, Devontae Williams, and Jordan Seminole. I thought Landez had a good game, and then Nick Stiff, of course, coming up with the interception. I thought this secondary did a pretty good job getting in the passing lanes and knocking passes away as this game went on. All in all, I think we could say a pretty good win for this team. Next week they'll be home against Western Oregon. Some momentum that they can take with them into next week's contest, which again will be back here at Javelina Stadium.
If there's one thing that I think the Javelinas could work on, it's definitely the penalties. 15 penalties, 133 yards for Texas A&M-Kingsville tonight. To be able to win despite all of those mistakes, and I know some of those were due to fatigue and players being tired, to come out with a victory despite all of those penalty yardage is definitely a positive for the Javelinas.
And I guarantee you Wilkinson and this coaching staff will be all over this team about those penalties. 15 penalties will not make any coaching staff happy, but the Hogs get away with a 3-point win tonight over New Mexico Highlands, their 2nd victory of the season. They'll be back home. They are halfway through this stretch of 4 consecutive home games. Next week, they'll host Western Oregon at 7 p.m., and Nate and myself will be here to bring you all of the action live from Javelina Stadium. Again, our producer tonight, Rishi Patel, in the KTAI booth, and our director on the video stream, for those of you following along live through JavelinaAthletics.com, was Ashley Gonzalez. My name is Mark and Sarah. For my color guy, Nate Cortiso, thank you for tuning in. The final score one more time. The Javelinas 33, the New Mexico Highlands Cowboys 30. We will see you next week, everybody. Between then, have a good night, and we'll see you soon.